Hey, it's the Bennington Show. Ron Bennington, Gail Bennington,
Yo.
Ron Bennington, Chris Bennington, Jen Bennington, Lotta Bennington. Hey, it is a Thursday in the middle of September, the second summer of the year.
It's so much warmer now than it was in August.
Yes, it is. It is the warmest September in recorded history of the planet Earth. And I know that because every month now is the warmest in the history of Earth. Hopefully you got to see Big J Okerson just do panel, just be like a show business guest on Conan O'Brien last night.
Dude, that was so awesome. He did such a great job, but the craziest thing is it's so weird to see a buddy of yours doing that. It's so strange to be like, I know that guy.
Yeah, that was also you hear Conan say skanks, and that the rest of us are just used to the name Legion of Skanks where it doesn't sound nuts.
Right.
And you just heard the whole audience go, what? You know what I mean? Like,
Skanks.
yeah. What kind of Legion is that? That was funny. And it was also funny to see, like, Jay. It's like when you go to the 21 Club and you're dressed like Jay and they just force a jacket on you. He was dressed exactly like Jay, but there was a jacket on top of it. So if you missed it or if you've seen it and want to see it, I'll go to the iBang. It's all up on there. I was at the Cigar Inn. A bunch of people who were like 3 or 4 different clubs all went post-show to the Cigar Inn. And what was funny is like when you go to that place anyway, they never put the sound up. But there's TVs everywhere, but there's no sound. You're just watching sports, smoking a lovely overpriced cigar, and enjoying life. But we did that weird kind of king of comedy, like where you stand up and you fix the thing.
Right.
Yeah, there it is. That's the channel. There's that guy right there. He was in here before. Now he's up there. So that was... everybody got a big kick out of it, and it was fun. But it was a very, treating Jay like a regular show business guest, not like a comedy monkey who has to go over and be funny for a couple minutes and then leave.
Yeah, it was a very sophisticated experience.
Boy, that story that he told about being in school and having to apologize in front of the school.
That was hilarious.
Yes. And it was very funny because I don't remember. I mean, I didn't know that story. But I think just about every guy has done that thing when they're younger with, I'm not really talking, you know what I'm saying, fellas? And, trying to up your rep. Because back then, I don't know what it's like with the young girls now, but back then, a girl who just had sex with her boyfriend had a reputation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It was fucking...
Looks like she gives it up.
Yeah. She was giving away the milk without the cow meat being there for steak later. So that story itself made me like, what do you guys think? I'm over there all the time.
No, we didn't. But a friend of mine, get it on.
That was the funniest shit ever. No, not at all. I didn't. Can't say that. But I mean, all these sandwiches. So that was hysterical. And good for him. Good for Big J. Chris, I know Big J is going to be at our big Thanksgiving family show this year.
Yes.
Have all the stuff gone out, or are you still in process?
Still in process.
Still in process of getting your reserved seating.
They are going out. They've been going out. Still in the process. Tickets still going out.
Okay, so no one should panic.
There's no panic.
There's no reason to contact me personally.
Don't contact Ron Bennington.
Thank you. Bennington. Bennington. 3 T's, the name Bennington. Tonight, Thursday Night Football, and I'm kind of curious, is the kneeling thing done? Did it go away, or...
Will it continue?
Or can you not stop? If you stopped, But Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys today said his team is going to put their nuts on the United States flag.
You can teabag it?
Yeah. As a way of saying, look, this is what you're carrying around. The nuts of the underprivileged.
You know what? I would just like for everyone to be on the same page. Are we doing nuts now? Then let's stick with the nuts.
I don't know. I think maybe a funny dance might be the
That's
way
good.
to let people, you just don't know.
Link arms.
Linking arms is my least favorite.
That's my least favorite, and I was like a little disappointed because that's mostly what the Eagles did. Like that was their thing. Was like we're linking arms during it, and I'm like that could mean anything,
Right? That could mean
could mean we, even though we all disagree on the way black people should be treated, we're all going to play this game, which is understood.
Yes.
That's what we were doing before.
Right. That's what we always have done in the history of the world.
The Packers released a statement saying they want everyone in the stands and everyone watching at home to link arms.
Well,
Then everyone
a lot of
No,
times
I
I'm
don't
watching
want
alone. I call the little woman in. Hey, get in here while we link arms.
So everyone's mad at them for that.
Well, they should be mad.
That's
You're
the shit.
asking us to do stuff now. That's too much.
Oh, Jerry Jones looks good in comparison.
Do people in the stand are people in the stands going to start taking a knee
People in the stands are booing.
when people take a knee?
Yeah, they don't like the knee taking.
So you could be in danger if you took a knee in the stands because you're going to be surrounded by people who don't want you to take a knee.
Well, a lot of times I'm trying to roll a joint during that part of it, because I know the cops are looking at the flag. When we were kids and we would go to the high school football games, and when we were like 5th and 6th grade, and back then the high school football game was the big deal, right? Like people, like when you were in 6th and 7th grade, you'd be like, "You going to the game, right? We're gonna all go to the game together. We'll be at the game." Like that's where you would meet up. And you would have like, fun, crazy day. And instead of sitting in the stands, you would walk around. You're trying to get your fucking thing on. So your mom and dad would give you money to go to the game and then, a hot dog and a Coke or whatever. Well, you would think to yourself, if I can sneak into that game, that money goes in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Or a little bit of Marlboro. Or as I like to say, I smoke what I am. Cool. So the kids would try to climb the fence to get in the game, and the cops would be waiting, and they would chase you back out. But then the national anthem would happen. The cops were forced to turn to the front, and the kids would go over the fence like crazy. Like sometimes you see 20, 30, 40 kids climbing. And, I would do it every week. But then when I got in high school, and I would be at a game, and I would see the national anthem, and I'd look over the same spot, and kids were still going over the fence.
It goes on.
It was really, really sweet. And I don't know what you say, I'm in $1.25 or something. But that was literally like probably 100 times as much money as I had before that $1.25. You know what I mean? So I was walking around with a little paper, little coin. But nobody thought, to me, that was always adorable.
Yeah, that's super cute.
Yeah. And it was weird because I felt like I kind of invented it, and people were copying, but no, it was just a tradition that kids figure out for themselves time and time again, much like jagging office. It's the Bennington Show. Jeff in North Carolina.
Hey, man, how's it going? Great
What are you
show.
saying, my friend?
Hey, just wanted to touch on a sad subject. Hugh Hefner's dead.
Well, it's odd to say it's a sad subject because he's had, such a long, remarkable life. They said that he slept with over 20 women throughout his life.
He's a player.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I'm sure that I would be talking quite a bit about Hugh Hefner if there weren't multiple documentaries, books. How he will be remembered by history is probably not as well as he thought at one time.
Right.
Because social morals change. And the thing of, yes, you brought sexuality in, but it was still objectifying women. And, you brought, great jazz players and black comics into your clubs when other people weren't, but also, wasn't it common sense? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much credit you give somebody for, hey, we're going to put Jackie Robinson on our team. That's
a saint.
That's the fucking, as time goes on, you're like, yes, if I was Branch Rickey, I would have had the whole team filled with Jackie Robinsons. I've been starting 6, 7 black guys. You know what I mean? So the whole thing of, yes, he brought Dick Gregory into the club. that's great. But as the years go by, it just seems less and less impressive. Or, hey, I know, we'll have a magazine that we have hot naked chicks in, I think what's lost on people is that how powerful magazines were.
Yeah, I think that's really the thing that is kind of crazy, is that he's passed, and even more than the fact that it was like nudie mag, it was print, which is gone now.
Yes.
And so like it feels in that way an end of an era. To see that he's passed and everything that has just changed since the internet.
Literally, if he would have died 15 years ago, it would have seemed like a much more shocking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like bigger than life. Hey, let's look back. And like I said, I've seen documentary after documentary. Amazon runs a TV show based on his whole life. You know what I mean? There's plenty that's been said and can be said better, but he was one of the iconic people of the last century.
Yeah.
One of, if you were doing a top 100, he's definitely in there somewhere.
Well, you know what else I like about him is I like any person that right away you can say he's of this type. So you're casting something and you're like, he's a Hugh Hefner type. Mm-hmm. Like he just defines a certain type of human of just being like older, classy, but like sleazy with the, like tacky with money.
Right.
And women. And like, that's like a whole walking around in a silk robe. I mean, that's like an over the top character.
Right.
And you could just use one name to describe that personality.
And most of that, I mean, and quite frankly, I think he has more in common with Snoop Dogg than with, you know what I mean? Like, let's just keep doing things over and over till that's what you're known for.
Right.
Like the fact of like, we're going to have a pajama party. You're like, what? You know what I mean? Like, and how, so, like Snoop Dogg for some reason is known for weed when the entire, everyone smokes weed. Hugh Hefner was known for sex when, of course, everybody was still having sex.
Right.
They might not be putting it in magazines, but they were doing it. The other thing about Hefner was, to me as a little kid, he never looked like he was having enough fun. It just looked like, hey, I'm sitting here worried about how I look in this picture. You know what I mean? There's broads running around there having fun. James Caan's fucking roller skating. And, you know what I mean? And Hefner just always looks so stiff in the middle of that. Just stiff as fuck. I never totally got the fact that we were, they said like men were supposed to live through him. You know what I mean? No,
right.
I don't get it. And then I didn't know he was like the first like regular person that I knew that had a jet. I didn't know. I don't know how many other people had their own jets, but when you were a kid and you were looking at it and wait, this motherfucker has a jet? Like
for him?
Like TWA. Like a TWA jet. And, that's what it was. And then later, fucking Led Zeppelin, you're like, okay, everybody gets a jet. But that wasn't their jet either. They just painted their name on the side of a jet they were renting. Now,
we'll paint it back when we're done with it.
Yeah. So, yes, I mean, I'm sure it'll be up to history to figure out where he exactly fits in. But a lot of the things that he had gotten certain amount of credit for with changing our sexual views have kind of backlashed again against them. Because you can't have a party that goes on like that and there's not going to be some shitty stuff that happens. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course.
It just is.
That's a bad business happens.
Yeah. But at the same time, everybody's of their age, period. You know what I mean? They're of their times.
One of my favorite things about Playboy is that you can look at the centerfold. Like there's like websites where they have like every centerfold ever. And you can look through and like go back to like the year that you were born or go back to the year you graduated high school. And then you're just like, look at how like what is sexy about women changes through the time. Like, and it's not just the bush, but it's also like just like the shape of women and are they tan? Are they pale? Are they thin? Are they curvy? Like it's crazy to watch like, oh yeah, that's when that, or like the hair, like the 80s Playboy, like with that
Just
giant hair is just so funny.
And at the time, nobody thought there was anything completely weird about giant hair.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, because what they were saying is like, hey, we're not like the 70s where you just let your hair grow shaggy and wild. We do something with our giant hair.
Exactly.
They were crazy back then. But there's
and you forget too, that lasted at least a year or two into the 90s. Like the early 90s were still the 80s for a minute, yes. And that's always funny when that happens. Like you look at something you're like, oh, that's so 80s. Well, that was 92. Right. Like I think about in elementary school, the middle school girls were like, okay, these are teenagers to us, and they had like the world's biggest hair with so much product, and we're like, wow, can't wait till we can get really big hair. Like by the time we were that age, we're like, oh my God, that would be ridiculous if we had hair like that.
Yeah. It's always funny when someone can nail a certain look and then it doesn't, that look is gone. You know, there was some fucking greaser who had his fucking hair just flying in fucking 59. And, you know, the next thing you know, everyone's like, what's wrong with you and your hair? You mean the hair that everybody was complimenting me for 2 years ago? It's fucking still here, baby. Ooh, you work on cars. Ooh. What? I thought this was the coolest thing we could do. And, you know, that basically happened with the hair bands of the 80s where, I mean, they're just selling out arenas. Life is good. And, you know, 2 years later, everyone's like, you were like, what are you laughing about, man? I'm a fucking rock star. Look at you.
You love this.
Yeah.
You're so lame.
You're so fucking stupid. What are you... I had 20,000 people chanting my name. 20 fucking thousand. This is the cartoonness of the 80s. Well, if you even look at stand-up in the 80s, it was just... they were like cartoons that just walked out on the stage.
Yeah.
Except for Jerry, of course. He was the everyman. What's up on the iBang today, too, other than the Big J stuff? Oh, Colin Quinn. Possibility. Will he leave New York?
What?
He floated that balloon.
No.
He said something he started to realize in the last couple of years is that he likes waves. He likes to look at waves.
Well, it is nice.
Yeah.
But I just feel like New York can't lose Colin Quinn.
I don't know. I like the idea of Colin living in Wildwood, just a lonely fucking winter of him walking an empty boardwalk, staring at waves. I like that wave over there. That's a good wave.
It's a good wave.
And he's like, people don't think I like the beach. I do. He knows that people actually think things about him. You know what I mean? Like, that's Colin. He doesn't like the beach.
How could he?
He hates the sand and especially the waves.
He's also talking about what it's like to do the Chip Chipperson show, and he compared it to Jonestown.
You guys did it at the same time, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
and it is unlike anything else out there to do. There's nothing to compare it to. I think I spent most of my time being bewildered.
I would imagine that it's as if you just like stepped on into like Pee-wee's Playhouse or something.
There's some of that if Pee-wee was meaner and scarier looking.
and never broke character after the show, after they said cut.
But the last time I was down at the Underground, they told me that live show, Chip Chipperson's live show on September 11th, was one of the funnest events of the year. They said that the audience was very Rocky Horror.
That's
very,
awesome.
very crazy into it. And it's funny because, you know, it is, it's so unlike any, you know what I mean? It's just so unlike what you know him to be, right. You know? And then when you go there, it's only that. There's never a nod and a wink and aren't we all in this together? It's just that. You know, it's like total commitment. And it's different than anybody's doing, man. It's fucking blowing up, too. People would go crazy for it. I don't know if I don't know where it goes. That's the funny thing. Is this a movie one day?
Adventure of Chip Chipperson?
Yes, it could happen. That's how strange our world is. And I'm talking about the human race. And guess what? It is a race, so win it. Win your life the way Hugh Hefner did until he went on too long. That's the thing. Like, he kind of became a joke with that, too. You know what I mean? Like, that stupid
having
reality show.
5 girlfriends on it.
Yeah, and then he dances like Gurion when he would go out and just be like crazy dancing. And, you know, it's tough. You never know when to tap out and get out, you know? I just hope it ends with a bullet. That's all I'm saying for all of us. I hope we all take a bullet in the neck.
I don't want to.
Your friend Lisa Traeger, there's an article up on the iBank too.
Nice. What's going on with Lisa?
She had him standing in the aisles at JFL 42 Tuesday night. They literally stood in the aisles.
I love it.
Yeah. So I had been trying to push it off as long as I can. I'm going to ask Gail and Jen, what is this latest craze? This dick thing.
It's the For That Dick challenge.
All right. Now it's called For That Dick.
Yeah.
Now who's behind this?
I don't know who the originator was. Last night I was trying to figure it out. But do you know who the first one was?
I think the first one that started was Michael Blackson and Erykah Badu. They did it.
You think
and then, yeah, that was the first time I saw it. And then, like, they challenged, you know, everyone. And then Cardi B did hers.
Right, so
then...
explain to me, what is the For That Dick challenge?
So it's just a rap challenge. And it's just like a basic structure of you listing what you would do for that dick.
All right. So this is
Erykah Badu doing it.
Okay, let me just watch it the first time. This is up on the iBank, too, if you want to view this. Go ahead.
Ebola for the bitch. Hey, caught on tape.
Not smart for that pussy. Cheat on my wife, Kevin Hart for that pussy.
Woo.
I eat pork for that pussy. Skip court for that pussy.
All right, now let me stop because I'm confused. It went from For That Dick to now it's For That Pussy?
Yeah, well, that's just his version, but it's mostly been women doing it, but he wanted to jump in on the action.
I'm actually thrown off because the first one I see broke the bit. So, is there another one, Chris?
There's multiple
yes,
ones. Yeah,
there's many.
Well, let me just see where we get into this.
Right,
Does that seem like it should have been the ending?
This is Cardi B doing For That Dick.
I kidnapped myself for that dick.
What?
Made my parents pay the ransom for that dick.
That's right.
I got a trial for that dick. I ain't no snitch, but motherfucker, it was him for that dick. Bury the block for that dick. Make Nicky Berry talk for that dick.
What?
I love my family, but man, Illuminati, which one of my cousin you want for that dick? Yeah.
Hold on. What the fuck is she talking about? And why is she dressed for the circus? All right, let's keep going through. So they have to do the same song.
Right.
So somebody wrote the song and is not getting paid for it.
No, it's like they're freestyling.
Yeah, but they're all doing it to the same thing.
Right, exactly.
All right, so this is going to be Keke Palmer and Tyga. That would be Kylie Jenner's ex-boyfriend. So this is Keke Palmer. Tyga.
Oh, God. Chris, you had to rhyme it with? God, you're disgusting.
Why they ran to that dick? Never pressed for the dick. That's why he's fun calling me Gully Dick. Want me up on that dick. But I'm a boss, ain't got no time, I'm getting rich. Oh, no. Never focused on that dick. If I was you, I would curve on the dick. Unless he on the shit. Then I lift my right hand to the dick. Hello, hey.
I can't say I understand this even slightly.
This is Issa Rae. She has a show on HBO.
I go hard for that dick.
Yep.
I drop my black card for that dick.
Drop that shit.
Scream on my mama for that dick. Yeah, like the old bombers for that dick.
Where y'all at?
I put my lips on that dick.
Word?
Fuck a girl's trip for that dick.
Fuck that shit.
Travel to Mars for that dick.
Woo.
Just dropped a few bars for that dick.
That was hard. You did that. You did that. Woo. Here I go. Right, my turn.
Okay.
For me. Who else we got?
And then finally, this is
finally. Is it done now?
This is just the videos that we have. This is again. This is Issa Rae. Excuse me.
I got found.
No, that's not Issa Rae.
What? I gotta. Let's just try to stop, Chris. Vito, you seem like you know what's going on here.
Yeah, that last one, I just want to point out Regina Hall was also in the video. She's a very popular person as well.
Popular person? What's that mean?
I mean, she's in a bunch of movies. She was in the Scary Movie. She's in the TV show Blackish.
Why aren't you running this? Why do we got old man Chris Stanley giving me wrong and somewhat racially sounding slurs?
All you need to know is just a freestyle where you're describing what you do for that dick. I lie and cheat for that dick. I take a knee for that dick. Like that.
All right. And also, they're saying Game Over Reedy is the one who came up with it. Does anybody know this?
I don't know, because it's just one of those like viral things that I've seen like 100 girls do it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that this is who started that dick.
So this girl had a song for that dick.
Wait, you're trying to do it again? Just stop it, Chris. That thing where you try to muscle through and just like, I'm filling time by hitting play. We're trying to get to the bottom of this. Hey, Meat, what's up? You're on Bennington.
Hey, Ron and Fez, how you doing?
What's up?
I was just wondering, you were talking about Chip Chipperson earlier. And,
yes.
Would you ever do a unmasked Chip?
No. No, of course not.
He can't take off. He is the mask.
I've done unmasked with the creator of Chip Chipperson, but this would actually be called Masked. Would I do an episode of Masked with Chip?
You do unmasked for that dick.
Oh, you're not dropping it. Vito, you got to be my young millennial out here.
I mean, I love the.
Why did you put Chris into that position, though? This should have been a time where you're like, let me in there. He's just yelling out the wrong name, hit and play, and turning up volume.
I didn't think that he would let that happen. I thought he would like the For the Dick challenge. He'd be good at it. I didn't think he'd say Tigga. I mean, Tyga's been in the media for.
He doesn't know.
Mispronounce the
names. He's old school. All right.
He's an old
I know
soul.
Dr. Dre, not this Tyga character.
Then why are you constantly hitting play and yelling stuff out? Why wouldn't you just say, this is an over my head, okay? I'm in the shallow
I'm trying to figure this out, too.
Yeah. It's like when he does Big Brothers and he tries to bring up wrestling and you're the wrestling guy.
I watch wrestling and I don't bring it up on Big Brothers because I don't want to force my own agenda on people.
Thank
but for
you,
some
Vito.
Reason,
That's a broadcast.
Every episode, Chris brings up wrestling for no reason whatsoever.
No reason, and he gets it wrong.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the Photo Dick Challenge is out there. When 50 Cent was in here the other day, Dante Nero kept saying to me, 50. Because I guess he's not called Fitty anymore.
He is Fitty.
But Dante will only call him 50 cents. And I would not, I would just act like I didn't hear his correction every time. I go, there's Fitty. 50. Ron, his name's 50.
I don't think it is. I thought we were all saying Fitty.
So, no, back when he first came out, it was 50 Cent, but now he just goes by 50.
Not Fitty.
Now, yeah, now
Not
he's
even no cent?
No, he's just 50 now.
But see, this has always been my thing. Like when somebody came out as Puffy, and then you would say Puffy, and they go, now it's P. Diddy. I go, I don't need to create. You know what I mean? Like, if I have a friend, and his name was Timmy, and then everybody started calling him T-Bone, I don't have to switch over to T-Bone. I stay the way I met him.
Yeah, no, and like rappers get out of hand with like the different names they have, like Donald Glover's Childish Gambino, but now he's saying he's not going to be Childish Gambino anymore, and he hasn't announced what his new name will be.
Guess
if there
what?
will be one.
Luckily for me, I never jumped on Childish Gambino. I didn't need to. I call him Donald. When's Atlanta coming back? John, I know you're an Atlanta fan, right?
In 2018.
In 2018? That's the problem with TV shows.
No, it takes
they
a
don't
long
come
time.
Back. They don't come back till you forgot they ever even did it.
He's doing the new Lion King movie and like doing the soundtrack for it, and he's been touring. So
is it live?
It's going to be a live action Lion King movie with Beyonce, and I believe he's doing the soundtrack.
Is he Simba?
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Why? He's too old to be Simba.
Simba gets old in the movie. Like there's two parts. Simba's a little kid, and then eventually Simba grows
You know
up.
what? You just remind me. I never finished The Lion King. When I saw it seemed like it was all nice for everybody.
Oh, so you didn't even get up to the dad's death.
Spoiler alert!
Oh no,
fuck, dude. When you saw it, did it remind you of your own dad dying?
Yeah, and there was a little girl in my class that told me years later that she liked me so little that one day it was her time to bring in the movie, and she brought it in because she thought it would make me cry.
I like that girl.
She's crazy. That's a horrible child.
By the way, the NFL is trying to repair itself and getting the most likable pop star they can. And they're talking about Justin Timberlake for the Super Bowl. Will he take a knee? Justin Timberlake. Last time he was there, he pulled a woman's tit out. He got away with it, and she took all the heat.
Yes.
Her career ended. His went through the fucking roof.
That was the weirdest thing. They're like, this whorish woman.
Monroe Martin also told me that black people no longer like Justin Timberlake the way they used to.
Really?
They thought his last shit was too poppy. I go, okay, thanks for saying that to me, Monroe.
It's good to know, because I thought that he was like the person they were originally saying invited to the cookout. That was like, he
yeah,
was
that's
like
over
invited
now
to
too,
the
right?
cookout.
No one ever says invited to the cookout anymore. I can't. The thing is you're supposed to quickly learn things and then forget them immediately.
Just quickly learn the For That Dick challenge, then forget it when there's a new challenge tomorrow.
Who does it benefit, by the way? Is this going to some kind of sick kids?
No, this is...
Thanks for erectile dysfunction.
Chris just wants to put on Eleanor Roosevelt. I believe this is Eleanor Roosevelt right now.
She's doing the For the Dick challenge.
Why do you do that, dude? Why? Why do you yell out the wrong names? And then when you get into a hole like that, you just keep, instead of like presenting, you're just hitting one after another. You're the fucking man, okay? Take your time.
Okay.
You're the man. Who's the man?
I am.
You're crazy.
I'm the man, Rod.
I think I hate the dick challenge. Hey, did you see that who was crying on social media last night? She videotaped herself, or whatever you would call it now, so everybody would cry. It's the 90s girl that was the it girl, that Pamela
Anderson?
Yeah, Pamela Anderson.
What's going on with her?
Hefner died, and Hefner was a life changer for her. So she just videotaped herself crying all night. Hey, why don't we take a break here? We'll be right back, Bennington. It's the Bennington Show. I'll be at the Stand tonight for one show, and then all this weekend hosting. Based on what Jen told me, I tried to bring up that Kit Kat is period candy last night, only to have an entire audience of young millennial women stare at me and have no idea what I was talking about.
I take responsibility because I doubled down on that.
That's why I felt sure.
100%.
Oh, no.
It left me laughing. And then here's the other part that it left me laughing because I'm like, oh, I thought it was. I think I said to them, I go, I always thought it was. And they're like, what? No. Oh.
It'd be Hershey bar, obviously.
I also had to explain to Captain Stacy that Chris wolfed the entire kettle corn thing while I was doing GPS with Gail yesterday.
I know.
And we could see him through the glass eating.
And I was starving.
And he goes like this. What? But I gave him those 2 6-packs and that. What was the other liquor he gave you?
He gave me some caramel whiskey.
Yeah, he says, yeah. He goes, I gave him 2 6-packs of whiskey. That was for him. The kettle corn was for you because I heard you talking about it. He said he stopped at this place that he knew had the best kettle corn in the country. And literally, I watched Chris during the hour, 15, 20 minutes, maybe even a little longer. I'm going to give him an hour and a half. I could see him eating through the glass. You ate what looked to be a trash bag filled of kettle corn.
I'm really not proud of that, but I have a problem with a couple things. Like popcorn and potato chips, if it's in front of me, I will eat it until I'm sick.
Dude, I've seen you eating baby aspirin that
way. He is one of those, like, if it's in front of him kind of eaters. They exist.
Yes, most of us, we say we are grazers. That's why people love football Sundays, because it is not a huge meal that you could eat, but just a meal that lasts throughout the day.
That's what I like. Constantly eating.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't ever want to get that feeling of like so full. It's painful.
Right.
But you're just never not eating.
Yeah. Well, normally on like the Sunday eating, it hits you at some point and you kind of pass out from your own food. And that's, it's a wonderful thing.
Feels good.
And Chris, I don't care how much kettle corn but he gave it to me and then asked me how I like the kettle corn, and I had to explain to him.
Yeah.
I was recording. I could see my engineer / producer through the glass eating it. And at one point, I just asked him, like, I wasn't going to bitch about him eating a pop because I never want to be that guy. I hate anyone who goes,
that's mine.
Who ate my apples? Just shut the fuck up and go get more apples. You know what I mean? I hate that. But I saw him have so much popcorn in his mouth that I asked him a question, so he was forced to show me. Like, let me try to choke. He was borderline choking.
It was bad.
I never seen that much popcorn.
I just take the entire handful and just shove it into my mouth. It's a problem. That's why I don't buy popcorn.
Do you ever know people that eat like 2 or 3 pieces of popcorn at a time? Like they don't wolf popcorn?
Yeah, I eat like just like maybe 2 to 3 is like kind of what
That's
I do.
Disgusting to me.
I'm
going to agree more like with Chris.
I was very sick later on.
Is there anything sadder than when you go to the movies and your popcorn's done by the time the trailers
I feel
are done?
Really bad for myself.
I feel really bad too.
It's like I'm housing this popcorn. It's so good.
And then I don't want to get up. I'm like, I remember how the movie starts because I want to go get more popcorn.
And they say you get refills, but I'm back 15 minutes later.
Refills? I've never done it. Because
no, then they don't.
They do give refills.
You're making that up.
Then why is it $8 for a tiny thing? Just give me a regular price and I won't use the refill.
Dude, I used to send my check up so much that once I'm like, I went myself and like I got a bag of popcorn and 2 waters and they're like $22. And I was like fucking standing there with a 10. I go, what? $22 fucking dollars? I'm pulling the money out. I go, this seems fucking crazy, right? I go down, I say to my check, I go, you know how much fucking popcorn and water cost there? She's like, I don't know, 22. I go, what the fuck, you're paying these prices? I go, I'm fucking sneaking shit in now. I don't care if we have money or not. I'm not fucking just throwing it away for that. There's 2 cents worth of popcorn. Nothing's cheaper.
No.
Than buying it and making popcorn at home.
Yes. Corn and rice, both. These are 2 things that should never be an expensive situation. It's practically free. Corn is practically free.
But Berg and Aaron Berg and Paul, who's one of the owners of the stand, they go across the street to this fucking Italian joint that's there. I've been seeing it across the street for a while now. I don't walk over. They come back, they're fucking bragging about it. All right, what's the, is it like Parmesan cheese? Is that the thing that you would put on it?
Yeah.
They go this old school way where they fucking hollow out the cheese, right? Oh. Then they take the hot pasta, put it in there, mix it with olive oil, like a big wheel Parmesan, and then throw it on your plate.
Holy shit.
So it's like melted right within
It's melted right within it. And they're showing me this video, and I'm like, I thought this thing only existed in the past. You know what I mean?
Insane.
You just brought the past here. And they're going like this, $18 right here for this. Any pasta, $18. Fuck. I'm fucking like an idiot. Fucking across the street, just drinking water, waiting for my set. I could have been over here living like, seriously, like I was in an Italian movie.
Sounds incredible.
And they're screaming at me like it's my fault. There's a $30 prefix! $30! 2 different things you can get! For $30? $30!
Aggressive.
They're just fucking, yeah, they were so excited about it. By the way, fucking Aaron Berg was screaming at me. Bryce Harper is on steroids so many times that I thought that Aaron Berg was having a fucking meltdown. I felt like he was on steroids. And I'm like, yes, I know, Aaron. I believe you. I know it. I can tell when someone's on fucking steroids. He's on steroids. He says all these young guys that are jacking home runs are on steroids.
Even Aaron Judge?
Yes, especially Aaron Judge.
No.
Aaron Judge just broke that record. The rookie record?
Yeah, rookie home run record.
Let me check with Vito.
Yeah, 50 home runs.
Thank you. Yeah, 49 was McGuire, right?
Yeah, he broke.
What was that, like 84, 82?
Yeah, this year is just crazy. Like Giancarlo Stanton looked like he was going to hit 60. Like the home runs this year have been.
Everybody, all the young guys are jacked, and all the young guys just are there to hit home runs, like watching softball.
But
you know what I mean? Like a home run or stay home.
But they test for that stuff, right?
Yeah, but there's always guys that can stay out in front of it. We're never going to believe anyone ever again. That's where we've gotten with sports. Now, nobody seems to test in the NFL. No one says, is anybody on steroids? They just go like this. What do you care for steroids? You trying to ruin this game? Kneel down. You look like you hate black people. Kneel the fuck down because you look like a goddamn white supremacist. Now put your nuts on the flag. That's what Jerry Jones says. He's going to have his whole team just put their nuts on the flag. I don't know what that proves. I really don't. I mean, believe me. My uncle's cousin had a neighbor who served. So,
right. So
you know what I mean? This is
personal
near,
for you.
near and dear for me. I'm not going to put my nuts on the flag. First of all, I go like this. Flag? Oh, okay. Thought you said something else. So it's FL. Because I'll put my nuts on the... Gail, was there something that was on your mind? You said you had something that was bugging you a little bit.
Yes. So I was thinking about bands who their band name sounds nothing like the style of music that they actually play. It's a poor match. And
Bing,
it's totally...
Bing,
you already have
bing.
one. Go ahead.
This is a long time. This is a classic band. And when I finally got around to hearing them, I'm like, what the fuck? The Grateful Dead. The Grateful Dead made me think they were going to be like a fucking crazy death metal band.
Yeah, that does kind of... the Grateful Dead...
And their logo! There's skulls and fucking lightning bolts, and then you're like, okay, I'll put them... Here comes Uncle John's band. And you're like, what the fuck? I thought you guys were the Grateful Dead. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's a lot more grateful than it is dead.
Yes. I just really expected some kind of an Iron Maiden type band.
That's 100% the kind of example. I will give you mine that had me thinking this whole thing.
Yeah.
The band, The Zombies. Doesn't seem like that should be a scary band. And I was actually thinking, The Zombies sounds like it should be like The Misfits. And then I was like, but The Misfits could be The Zombies.
I know, The Misfits are good.
Those two bands could trade names and it would be
happy.
Perfectly... Because, like, the Zombies could be like hey, we're like misfits. We're on the outside of this thing, you know?
Yeah. The Zombies could have been the geeky nerds. Could have been the nice band for them.
Right.
Even think, like, when a band like Van Halen's name, right? And then Van Halen is not the front man.
Right.
And it confused a lot of people.
That doesn't make sense. And then people are calling someone else Van Halen.
Well, everybody would think that Dave is Van Halen because he's talking, he's jumping around. And there was a club owner in L.A. that just called him Van.
Right, thinking first name Van, last name Halen.
Yeah. By the way, I know a club owner who calls whoever I happen to be talking to Gail. He just always thinks all these other women and girls, some are like, there's no way they could be my daughter. It's good to see you guys here, Gail, Ron. Nice to see you. I'm just like, hey, I don't even try to fuck, you know what I mean? I don't even attempt because I'm like, I know you're all fucking burnt out.
This person that was standing next to you was Yamanika.
It would happen easily with Yama. It would happen easily. Gail,
that's his adopted daughter.
Yeah. Here is Sean. Sean, what's up?
Hey, Ronnie B.
Yeah.
The Moody Blues.
Always bothered me.
Because not moody or blues music.
Not moody or blues. They went from kind of poppy to being some kind of prog rocky. I mean, let's face it, the Moody Blues never knew who they were and what they were doing. Cody in Houston. Cody.
Yeah. Hey, Ronnie B. Yeah. Before I give you the band name, I just want to let you know, Vito sounds like he just ran a marathon when he answered the phone. breathing so heavily.
That's mean.
But
It's just mean-spirited.
Here's what happened. I asked him a question a minute ago, and he went into full panic mode where I didn't have to worry. And I'm like, am I that mean that I just can't ask a question
They're
without
afraid
you
of
thinking
you.
shit's going to run down? Vito, don't be afraid of me. I'm very fond of you.
I'm fond of you, too.
Thank you. But you don't act like it. You act like you act like if I go to scratch my head, you're going to fucking dive on the ground like I'm going to hit you.
I don't think you're going to
Stop breathing so heavily. Cody, what do you got for us?
The band that, when I first heard the name, I thought they'd be heavier than Slayer was Slaughter.
Now, was Slaughter a guy's name in the band?
Maybe.
Sergeant Slaughter, I think.
By the way, I thought there was because there was a kid in my first grade whose name was Paul Slaughter. And I'm like, man, he's got the greatest fucking name ever.
Cool.
Yeah.
There's a dude named Mark Slaughter in Slaughter.
Thank you. I always thought
Lead
that
singer?
was true.
Mark Slaughter was.
Here we go. He doesn't have the information.
Yeah, lead singer.
Okay. So, yeah, that's why it's called. But again, just because, like, hey, you got a cool last name doesn't mean that your band sounds like that.
Right.
I just thought of another one while I'm sitting here. This fucking annoyed the shit out of me. Pink Floyd. It doesn't sound.
It doesn't make
It's
sense
not-
to their name.
There's never any pink in their stuff, and they took it from two old bluesmen, right? That they liked. One for one guy Pink, the other Floyd. But you put together something that's just fucking ridiculous
Yeah.
and doesn't seem like you.
I agree. I've got another one for you.
Okay, good.
Joy Division. Now, if you know what Joy Division is, then you can see it's like a dark, weird reference. But Joy Division as a name, that sounds like that's going to be a pop group.
Right.
Like, that's just like, hey, we're Joy Division.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like it could be like a poppy, happy band, and it's like the world's
They should be
saddest
singing
music.
"Shiny Happy People."
Exactly.
Hi, everybody. We're Joy Division.
Yay!
Love each other.
Even if something was like kind of hippie-ish, Joy Division seems like
Right.
it could be that.
Now, Jen seems like she's got one for us.
Well, mine's a rap group.
Sure.
Okay.
Of course it is.
Bone Thugs and Harmony. I never.
Yeah, you're right. 100%.
No,
Like, they don't sound like Bone Thugs at all.
Now, here's the thing. Were they supposed to be, was that like a trio name? Like, das is Bones, I'm Thugs, this is Harmony? Because, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't sound like you put two things together like Guns
Right.
N' Roses.
Right.
It sounds like a trio like Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
One's name, I think, Lazy Bones. It's like they all like I forget the other. They're all bones. Yeah,
They're all bones.
like
They're all bones.
Yeah.
So they're bones, thugs in harmony. But even so, they still don't seem like thugs.
There's
Yeah.
Busy Bone, Wishbone, Lazy Bone,
That is adorable.
Crazy Bone, and Flesh and Bone.
So they're all brothers then.
But it just sounds like such a thug group, and their music is so mellow and like
Exactly.
it's
I
pretty
remember
cool.
that it was like they sound like they're gonna be rough, and then they're see you at the crossroads.
That's really annoying. That's really annoying. Tim, what's up?
How's it going, guys?
Hey.
I got one from the late 90s, one-hit wonder, Savage Garden.
Savage Garden is not savage. They're closer
Yeah.
to being a garden than they are to being
just
savage.
the garden.
Mike in Washington. Mike.
Ronnie B, what's up, man? I love your show.
Yeah, it's
Listen to
good.
you every day.
Good, thanks.
Hey, so when I was growing up, there was a band. I hope you can help me with the name. Toad the Wet Sprocket.
You said it. You said it 100% correct.
Yeah. So what? I listened to their music a few times. I never understood it. I hope you can help me
Well,
out.
I think wasn't it a name from a book? A lot of bands will attempt to find a book, and
Yeah, I don't know what the reference
Yeah.
is, but I can think it is a reference to something.
like the way Mata Hoople is
Right.
some fucking weird fantasy book that I never read.
It's a reference to a Monty Python sketch.
Oh,
okay.
okay. All right.
Thanks.
Now, here's the thing. Be a funnier band then. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to go, we got this from Python, be funny. I don't like silly name bands that aren't silly.
Right.
If you're going to name your band something silly, then be silly.
Then you're going to need to make silly music.
But I also hate anything that is misleading, and then people get mad at you for that. Ian Anderson used to get furious when people called him Jethro Tull. All right, you're the guy, you're the front guy, and you've given your band the name of a single performer, Jethro Tull.
Yes, that's your fault.
You can't turn around and go, "Why are you calling me Jethro?"
Yeah,
I'm Ian. Well, you don't want put the fucking flute down, put both your feet down, and fucking call your band Ian Anderson. That's weird. That's as weird as name as Jethro Tull to us. We're not getting the Jethro Tull at all. Rob, Callie, what do you got, buddy?
Hey guys, the obvious one: nice, peaceful, quiet Nirvana.
Perfect
Nirvana.
Fucking one. That's fucking nailed more than anything else.
I agree.
That name does not fit that fucking band.
Yes.
Nirvana should have Ravi Shankar playing it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? George Harrison should be like producing this. Like, I think we're almost there, chaps. We're almost at Nirvana.
Maybe even it could be like Enya's backing band.
Thank you.
Nirvana.
Enya would be perfect to be in that band. Here's Jeff. Jeff, what's up?
Hey, Ronnie. I'm thinking Cypress Hill. Whenever I heard that name for the first time, I'm thinking this has got to be like some little tinkly, new age piano music or something.
But here's what's funny about Cypress Hill, right? They came out when there were bands. I mean, when there were TV shows that were had names like Cypress Hill,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, what was those kind of shows that
like One Tree Hill? Like it's like
Yeah.
it sounds like those kind
Like
of
a neighborhood.
No, not like a neighborhood, but those really teen TV shows.
Like think of like Party of Five or almost
Yeah.
like those kind of names. It sounds like it's saying the place that they're all from, or
this
like
week on Cypress Hill, they get weed and they love it very, very much. Here's Marie in Florida.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. I've been listening to you guys since NEW, not
great.
you, Gail, of course.
Thanks.
I was thinking of 10,000 Maniacs. There's neither 10,000 of them nor are they maniacs.
And, yeah, and they're a very sweet band.
Yes.
And I believe that the original quote is "Bastard Son of 10,000 Maniacs," which would be a better name.
Yeah. but still not suit them at all.
I just thought of one off the top of my head right here. I ended up hating this band, the Eagles of Death Metal.
Yes, because they are not the Eagles of Death Metal.
They're fucking wise asses.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not taking you seriously now. You're not the Eagles of Death Metal. Now, if there was a death metal band called the Eagles of Death Metal,
That's hilarious.
I fucking would laugh my ass off.
Yeah, that's great.
Be there and represent.
I have another one. There was a band called the Suicide Machines, and it was like a poppy ska punk band. Suicide Machines sound very brutal. I'm like, for the most part, pretty fun. Pretty fun listen. Yeah.
I seriously would like to open up a business called Let Me Name Your Band. And I feel like you could play me 3 or 4 songs that would give you the perfect name for your band. This is, well, how did this start, Gail, the idea for this?
Well, originally my thought was how poorly the Zombies does not sound like the Zombies would be that band.
No.
And I wanted to trade names, fair trade, Zombies for the Misfits. Call the Misfits the Zombies and vice versa.
Lucy in Texas. Lucy, we got you, darling? Once, twice? Yeah, gone.
Bye, Lucy.
Tony, Colorado.
Yeah, I thought Widespread Panic.
Now, Widespread Panic does seem like they would be heavier.
Yeah. At least punkier.
Yeah. But they're far more jammier. By the way, they make our next GPS.
They do.
GPS Athens, which is, man, that's a wandering scene. We let this one wander more than we ever have anything else
Yes.
in history.
But I might say it's one of my favorites we've done. Like some of the best songs, and it was a really, really fun one to put together.
Matt in Kansas, what's up?
Hey, first off, I just want to say thank you. I got my prize closet the other day, the Heat DVD autographed.
Oh, sweet.
Enjoy.
That's great. Enjoy
And,
it.
my band would be, before they disbanded and became a solo act, would be Alice Cooper. Sounds more like something you would think of like Anne Murray or something.
Well, Alice Cooper, I believe, was a witch or something, but this one's tough for me because it's so ingrained in me.
Yeah.
That it seems like it makes perfect sense now.
But I mean, I guess it just could just be like a nice female solo artist,
I guess it
of
could
course.
have been. They asked me why the singer's name is Alice.
And then you could be like, oh, my mom loves Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
She has her best of.
Yeah. But Alice Cooper meant so much to your mom and me.
Alice Cooper sings your favorites.
Mark, what's up?
Hey, Ronnie. Steely Dan for me. I always thought that was going to be way harder edged than they were before I started listening to them.
Well, again, they took their name out of a book, William Burroughs' book, and it was supposed to be for a metal dildo.
Right.
And at the time, I guess but the problem is not so much Steely as it is Dan.
Yeah.
And people go, who's the Dan?
Which of you is Mr. Dan?
None of us is Dan, and please, the interview's over.
But even if you know what the reference is, it still really doesn't fit that band. Like if you're like it's called Steely Dan and named after this reference from a Burroughs book that means a metal dildo, you wouldn't think that Steely Dan would choose that.
By the way, most band names stink. U2 does not fucking fit that.
It's one of the worst. And
it's one of the worst.
Again, you could say that doesn't sound like them because that sounds like it could be one of those boy bands from Orlando is U2.
And they should easily be the somethings because they're Irish.
Right.
And Irish bands should sound like a gang.
Yeah.
Oh, these fucking bands drive me crazy.
You need to be a manager.
I want to be more than a manager. I want to control everything everyone's doing all the time. That's why we're going to have nuts on the flag this week. We're taking it out. Trump will be all for it. You keep your nuts off that flag. You keep your nuts off that flag. Hey, Khalid, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
I got a band for you. What about the Butthole Surfers?
I kind of like that name. You know what I mean?
do like it, and I think they're weird enough that it might fit them, even though it does. Like, I get that they're not surfers,
right? Butthole surfers, yeah, but you're surfing a butthole.
What I really
felt like
like
is a very gay, you know.
Yes, of course. Like we're a couple of butthole surfers.
Yes. We're surfing buttholes.
The thing that I really like is that you are now forcing people to say butthole, which is one of the funniest words of all time.
It's certainly weirder and probably more offensive than asshole.
It is. I know
is
it is, but if you call someone an asshole or you say like something asshole, but then if you say the phrase butthole, people are like, ew, it's hilarious.
Well, if I say Chris is an asshole, everyone thinks he's a jerk. But if I think he's a butthole, you immediately visualize the hole in the butt.
And not only do I visualize that, I'm like, Ron, why would you put that in my head? I'm disgusted in both of you.
Don, Alabama, Don.
Yeah, when More Than Words came out, I did not think that extreme was that extreme.
It is true. And they were also the least extreme version of Van Halen that ever happened. But a band who sings more than, like it could almost be a song for church.
Right.
Tim in D.C. Tim.
Hey, Ronnie. What do you think of Kiss?
It's a great point because, again, like Alice Cooper, it's so ingrained.
Yeah.
But this band that's dressing up like demons and space boys call themselves Kiss, which should be like a little pop group.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
That's
I guess
a weird name.
It's weird, but maybe they just I mean, now knowing when they had said that thing about like that they wanted to be more glam than goth, but they felt like they couldn't pull it off. It's like I think that they just wanted to keep at least a little of that glamness about them.
They had to be told they weren't sexy enough to be glam.
Because originally they had just wanted to do just like New York Dolls, like makeup and lipstick and, you know, maybe wear heels. And they were like, you're pretty goofy looking.
You guys are a little too thick. And it's a problem they have. To be a good rock star, you gotta be a fucking bone rack, right?
Exactly.
Your bones and skin.
You need to be a bone thug in harmony.
All of them are wide chested. They're hairy chested.
Very hairy.
I mean, if you think about it's only Paul Stanley and David Lee Roth were probably the only hairy chested big rock singers like that.
Yeah, normally you want like a boyish chest.
Well, that's what's happened. You want a guy who sings like a girl, so he doesn't grow hair on his hair. There's no hair on his body because the testosterone isn't there. But then here comes I was made for loving you. They look. If they weren't a band, they'd be in the Garment District, just fucking. You know what I mean? They're Jewish guys from New York. But yes, they the name Kiss, like I said. We're locked into it now, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Jason, Minnesota.
Hey guys, how's it going? One of the bands that I think their name gets taken for the lead singer is Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, it's a terrible name, and the fact that they couldn't even spell it properly because they'd be sued. But you know where that name comes from, right? It was like their gym teacher in high school.
Yeah, it was their gym teacher. But yeah, I've just had conversations where they'll be like, "Oh, Leonard Skinner, that like his song, Simple Man," you know, and it's like, "Oh man."
Here's the thing. So they wanted to do it as a mocking thing.
Right.
Like, this is the guy who told them they were going nowhere and blah, blah, blah. So they fucking named themselves after him to just like fuck with him. But then they had to take all the vowels out and put in Y's so they wouldn't be. And like people, when they first came out, they're like, yeah. And then, you know, you also don't want to have to explain the band name all the time. Now, do you like band names like America, Europe, Asia?
I don't.
I've never been crazy about that, but I love like a name where you put a place and then something else, like the LA Guns.
Right. New York Dolls. Yeah.
Those are fucking cool names. Not enough people do it. But I like when you say we're the Delaware Destroyers, and then you're like, oh, you fucking dudes are from Delaware. And you're badasses.
Because it's cool, because it sounds like somewhere like, kind of like a gang, kind of like a sports team.
Right. But yeah, and a sports team is supposed to be a gang, and a band is supposed to be a gang. But you got to be careful if you just make it too much. Like if you're like, oh, this band America, I never heard of them. Let's see, let me Google it. And then there's like 900 things before you get to the band. The Eagles are the same way.
Same thing, yeah.
The Eagles, they might be like, oh, we have the most American band. But Philadelphia Eagles come up before you. And then the Bird Eagles. And you know what I mean?
Now you're at least third on the list.
Yeah. You got to do something, you fucks.
Chicago.
Joe, Massachusetts. Joe. Lost you, Joe?
Yep, this is Joe from the Poconos.
Hey, Pocono Joe.
Pocono Joe here. Hey, this band here, this is a Philly band. I was part of their fan club back in the 80s. You'd think the band was all about tits, but their name was the Hooters.
Yeah, the Hooters, they came out with that supposedly based on that thing that you blow in that has like the little keyboard.
Oh, yeah. Melodica, yeah.
But here's the problem. Yes, it's tits, and yes, a restaurant chain was exploding at the same time.
Not great.
Oh, we got Lucy back from Texas. Lucy.
Hey, guys, I'm back.
Yay.
So I have a band that sounds like a toothless backwoods band with banjos and metal buckets.
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit.
I think the most perfectly named band of all time. I think that their soggy jizz cookie is exactly perfect for that band. We've never got to the point where the people go to see them again. There's no Limp Bizkit Let's try to keep it that way, folks.
Yeah.
What happened?
It's a time for shame. I think everyone should be ashamed. I was in high school at that point, and I just remember all the boys who were into that kind of stuff. I would look around and just thought, man, this is a very undateable pool.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was just boys were just into terrible music then, and they had terrible style. They all dressed like that. It was not great.
It's when every band from the 90s ripped off a sincere band from the early 90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit just Rage Against the Machine for Dude Bros. The non-political Rage Against the Machine. If this was a civilized society, arrests would have been made and a public execution would have taken place. Or they at least be banished to a barren island in the cold Arctic Sea. Again, I wish I was running everything, but I don't get to. Kyle, what's up, buddy?
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, I always thought that the name Death Cab for Cutie did not match their sound at all.
I don't know what it would match with that name, though.
Yeah, it's such a weird name, but I would agree if you heard that name, you probably wouldn't get what their sound would be at all.
No idea.
Well, and Gail, doesn't it sound like it would be like an emo, screamo metal band almost?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was kind of emo-ish, but I would agree that it does sound like the screamo variety, very short-lived subsect.
But then Cutie's in it. You know what I mean? So
right.
That kind of throws it off. You're just trying to be annoying. All right, Bill Love said, how can Pink Floyd not be ingrained? It still bothers me to this day. You know what I mean? The Pink Floyd, that just, it drives me nuts. I've actually said to myself, when I'm listening, I'm like, this does not sound like it would be Pink Floyd. And obviously, they even named themselves long before they had that kind of sound. You know, it's like a 50-year-old band. Troy, Canada.
Hey, Bennington and Sidekicks. I always thought that this name would be very confusing to a lot of parents, and it's Lamb of God.
I don't know anything about it.
Lamb of God is like a hardcore band.
Yeah.
It's not a Christian metal band?
No, not a Christian metal band.
Stupid name, then. Stupid name.
You take away the sins of the world.
That's what it sounds like. It's like I don't want to listen to Lamb of God, but I have to. It's Sunday morning, and I'm a sinner. Matt, what's up?
What's up, guys? I was thinking of the Butthole Surfers and Village People. Might be a good swap name situation.
It's actually pretty funny.
Interesting.
But Village People is a ridiculous name. And I believe that the idea, I may be totally off here, but I believe that somebody said, a producer said, we need a disco version of Kiss. That's what the original idea for Village People was. And we need somebody represent it in the gay society or gay in the closet society in the way that Kiss tries to do this visual thing.
Right. They should have been called Kisco.
Kisco would have been fucking great. Kisco or even Crisco would have been fantastic.
Did you just, Crisco?
There is, I meant it for a butthole surfer, not for you eating it with a spoon. Yeah, the Village People still around, but they can't be the same guys, right?
I believe they're new Village People.
But do they play the same Village parts?
Yeah.
They don't go, okay, now we have a tech IT guy.
Drone pilot.
Yeah. Man, I met these fucking young tech kids that were all out together last night at the stand. And I'm like, so what's the big startup idea? And they're like, it's Yelp for e-commerce sites.
What?
And I go, just enjoy your youth, guys. This is the same as if you started a band. You know what I mean? That you hope, you know what I mean? It's like starting a young tech company. They're like, we're starting a band. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll be as big as Steve Jobs. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Instead of starting bands, they're starting these things. Hey, aren't you curious about what? And I was going, okay, what would you charge me to put my site on so people then review me? And he goes, well, what would your site be? I go, it's Sirius XM. He goes, oh, $6,000. They hadn't even
thought about the money aspect of it.
6,000 sounds like a lot of money.
We could use $6,000 for whatever we're doing.
What they want is for your e-commerce site to then pay them so other people will review.
Right.
Holy shit.
I know somebody is a friend's kid, and him and his friends are starting some sort of tech startup. And it's like, I wish I could remember what it is, but it sounds like it has something to do with an app and pizza. And I'm just like, well, we can just order pizza, can't we? I'm like, they're like, yeah, but not like this. Like, it's so easy.
So easy.
I don't know what it is, but it's like, I gotta get the details on it. But I remember just being like, you mean just like you could just call up Seamless and order a pizza? And they're like, yeah, but this is different. This is not the Seamless app.
Bullshit Seamless.
Here's the problem with if you're trying to do the pizza thing. Most people, there's like 2 or 3 pizza places that are close enough that they're like, they're my delivery place, right? That becomes, one of them becomes their favorite pizza. And then that pizza becomes what pizza tastes like to them for the next 10 years.
Right.
It's not necessarily the best pizza, but it's the pizza that they're most used to.
Yes.
And I think all the time, like, oh yeah, I want to go to that pizza place that I heard about downtown. But it's very rare that when I'm hungry for pizza, I go there. When I want to go out to dinner, I might go, hey, let's try that pizza place. But if I'm in the mood for a slice of pizza, it tends to be this close place.
I have 4 places, and all of them are based on mood. One of them is a very traditional Brooklyn pizza, right. Very lowbrow, very just like, if that's what you're into for that moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Then I have like a fancy pizza.
Yeah. Which
you
isn't
don't crave
even,
you don't crave that, but that's
No.
like a proper Italian pizza. That's like
Right.
a brick oven,
Yeah.
super thin crust, prosciutto on it, that kind of pizza. That's not for every
That's not for every occasion.
and when I want that, no amount of Brooklyn pizza will ever make me happy because that's not what I'm craving. Like, they're 2 different,
Yes.
entirely different cravings. And then I have a place that I specifically like their grandma pie. Everything else is just like meh, but their grandma pie is like crazy.
What's grandma pie?
That's like it's like the signature thing that they do in, I think it's like Brooklyn, Queens. Like, it's an outer borough thing, but it's like where it's like a square pie instead of a round pie, a little bit different thickness to the crust. And I think sometimes the sauce is a little different. Sometimes the sauce is on top, I believe.
Yeah. Some of the Brooklyn people do that, yeah. What's that place?
I feel like
the
Vito
Brooklyn guys
has all the
always
info.
bring? Yeah, Vito.
Vito's like running to the mic.
It's just the type of pizza you'll see where it's like the cheese is like kind of centered. It's not over the entire slice, and you see a lot of the tomato sauce, kind of like the way L&B Spumoni Gardens is.
Okay, yeah, Spumoni Gardens to me is the Brooklyn place. And some people I know, they go, I hate Spumoni Gardens. And I go, I like it. I don't consider it regular pizza the way I do.
So that is the grandma pie, where it's just like the cheese is underneath, the
All
sauce
right.
is kind
I
of.
get slices like that at a place sometimes near the stand, but I don't consider that even regular pizza.
Right. And if I'm in the mood for just a regular, very standard issue Brooklyn pie, I'm not really in the mood for that place.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's a different vibe. And then I just have a late night place where it's like, we've waited
Late
too
night
long to
slice.
figure out what we're getting.
Yeah.
This is not my favorite place, but it certainly is still open.
But it's open. And literally, you can do a lot for yourself by being open. That's the best thing sometimes you could do. You stay open. If you stay open and you serve eggs, you're going to not go bankrupt.
Pay the rent.
You'll pay the rent.
You know what?
Chris is right.
Thank you.
Do you not have grandma pie in Queens?
Yeah, there's grandma pies in Queens.
Are you sure?
I was begging for you to
What's
help
your
me.
pizza
That's
place?
why I was like
All right.
looking at you.
You had to go grab
and then I
Vito.
was like, and I looked and Vito was running for me.
Here's the thing. Neither one of those guys likes pressure. You know what I mean? You have to be looking in the other direction for them to want to jump into the conversation.
Right.
Vito, what are you looking to add right now?
I like.
What's your place?
It depends. Like, so Coronets is a place I like. I know some people think it's just like a big slice. I also like, there's a chain around the city, Little Italy Pizza. When I'm desperate, I'll go there. I don't think it's too bad for a chain.
I forgot he has taste for shit. I forget that about
I don't
him.
like the sound of this chain.
Well, no, I mean, it's just there's a bunch in this, but it's like when I'm desperate, I'd rather go there than like.
Because where do you go for your pizza? Salbuck and Charlie's?
Salbuck and Charlie's would go for sandwiches. For pizza, there's Rizzo's for the fucking square slice for
easy,
Sicilian.
dude. Don't get mad about it. Let me see a picture of videos of Rizzo's. No one's angry. Okay, I'm curious about.
I was a little slightly annoyed when I was just going, "Am I correct about that?" You looked at me like it was an asshole.
Now that's your
one of 5 now.
But that's like not.
So pizzerias I'll go to in my neighborhood.
Pizzeria, he's old school.
Yeah, he says a pizzeria.
Right, let me take a look at that.
Thin is in at Rizzo's.
Thin is in.
I like this.
I might try it. I might try it.
There's one on the Upper East Side.
Where?
Like 92nd or something.
That's fucking too upper, Vito. They're not going to deliver.
Call that upper.
Yeah. Call that what it is. Spanish Harlem retaken over by little fucking white kids.
And then there's Polito's, which is like the basic, like, regular slice. Sometimes I crave it. Sometimes I don't.
There's a place in Queens called Albro's that I like.
What else?
And then there's the fancy slice milk flour, which is
what?
Yeah, this is
I
fucking.
can't even picture you going there.
This place is fucking good. That has an egg on it, white cheese, fucking Brussels sprouts.
See, like you could be into that, but like when you just want a slice, you don't want that.
You know what?
I want a slice
It's
of
weird.
Polito's.
Look, let me tell you something. I would do this on a date. You know what I mean? But I'm not going
Right.
to go there by myself. Or I'm not going to have this fucking delivered to my house.
Right, because it's like you can't even get a slice at a place like that because you got to do whole pie.
I don't
It's like a
like
sit-down
people
thing.
that won't give you a slice. You already have pies back there. Cut one slice off for people.
Also, I think those pies tend to be much better immediately in, like, if you eat it in the restaurant, then it's cool.
Look at this one, Crisco's. That looks pretty delicious.
This is Saks. And a couple blocks over, I go there. It's in between fancy and like regular New York slice. It's fucking great.
I would say it's more of a good standard New
Yeah, that
York
looks-
pizza
yeah.
than fancy at all.
Yeah, that to
That
me,
looks delicious.
that would be like like a standard Brooklyn kind of style. That's what I would do for that. That's what I would call that.
That's all the places I go for pizza in
Well,
Astoria.
You know what? I am impressed. I'll say that. I'm very impressed.
And then there's a place that's open 24 hours that I won't say the name of it because it is terrible, but it will deliver.
Is that your 99 cents?
No, there's
No, you're
another
not like
place.
a Domino's or something.
No. It's like a local place that's been there for years.
All
But
right,
it's,
put them up. Let me just see how bad they are. I hate people that can't even take good pictures of their food. You're like, what is wrong with you? There's a fucking.
It's like well done.
I like well done though. That doesn't look like a bad slice to me.
But it is.
Street slice.
But it
is. Trust me.
I'm gonna trust you because you.
What is it? Bad sauce? That's
It's
what
just-
really
it's
fucks
bad
me up.
bread, it's bad sauce, and the cheese is sometimes it feels congealed and it's been there all day.
But let me tell you something. Like you said, when desperate, pizza is edible. There's a lot of people who like. Somebody had told me this before. Your willingness to put up with pizza, with bad pizza, expands as the further you leave New York.
Right.
But I would say most big cities have some kind of good pizza place. And I would never eat the chains unless I was stuck in a hotel in fucking Iowa.
And then you would do it. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what to fucking eat. Fuck, let's just order a fucking pizza. You know, there's almost like an anger. It's like you're losing oxygen. You know?
Order pizza.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Like, I'm sure if you had nowhere at all, you would be willing to sniff fucking fart air in a heartbeat. You're just like, give me the jar of fart air. I'll put it right up to my fucking face.
And
I can't breathe.
And that's what Domino's is. That's
Yes.
your fart air.
Yes. That is the fart air of the pizza world. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the finest gamblers known today, Mr. Mitchell Walters.
Mitchell,
lock it up.
I'm sitting here on Crossbay staring at Romeo's Pizza and Pasta.
What are you up to, Mitchell?
Go in there.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm getting a little gasoline and listening to shows very funny with the sidekicks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of sidekicks here, too.
Ronnie, I know I'm older than you, but when I was in public school in 6th grade, pizza was 15 cents a slice.
Well, also remember in school how bad the school pizza was.
God. Oh, God.
And I still was excited about pizza
Yeah.
day. That's how bad the rest of the food was. And my school was like a piece of bread with some cheese, and I'm like, okay, let's fucking eat
Well,
it.
that's how bullying started.
Yes. That's how we got into bullying.
Yeah, you was going to eat what your mother give you, and then boom, a fight breaks out. People go wild.
Mitchell, you're still in the football pool, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Some giants are falling, Chris. What
Yes.
percentage is
feel
gone?
bad.
Oh, about 60% is gone.
Wow, 60%
from the pool.
Ouch.
I still got 3 live games this weekend. I haven't decided yet. I'll text Chris later.
Good.
Right after I have.
Well, what's the
a
game
grandma-
tonight, Chris?
Tonight is Packers at Bears.
No, that's got to be the Packers in a runaway. The Bears are fucking terrible.
They say that,
Sounds
but
that way.
because it's a divisional game, you don't know.
I know because I saw the Bears play the Bucks.
I know,
and they were fucking terrible.
Yeah, this is the worst season. Anything can happen. Bookmakers lost a lot of money last week.
Yeah, I know. We almost lost everybody on the Packers last week.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, I know. I was panicking.
Yeah. There was panic at the
Ronnie,
disco.
did you ever get a grandma slice with sausage on top?
Yeah, it sounds delicious. I'm
So
ready
good.
for it right now.
So good.
I feel like we should be eating pizza
I know.
right now
I
instead
really
of wasting our
want pizza
lives.
so bad right now.
What are we doing with our lives, Chris?
Not
our
eating
lives have
pizza
turned
right
into
now.
a fucking nightmare right now. Where your neighborhood
I'm-
looks fantastic.
There's a lot of pizza there.
You got. I'm going to say this because I'm in Manhattan.
Yeah.
You have more pizza choices than I have.
Yep.
More pizza choices.
What
than I
about
have.
Italian ices, Ronnie?
You know, also Queens is the king of that too, right?
Yeah, Corona ices.
Yeah, Corona.
Corona, yeah.
Corona.
There's a place in Brooklyn called Dolly's, and she's got like 70 flavors.
70 flavors. That's
Wow.
more than I need. I need one flavor,
Yes.
cherry.
Dude, there was
Yeah,
a place I used to go to in Staten Island when I was in high school.
Yeah.
That was out of control. It was so good. I wish I could remember the name of it, but same thing. It was just like all the standard ones were really great. Plus, they had a bunch of really crazy.
Was it just called?
I have pumpkin and cannoli. What a combination!
That's delicious.
I do like.
It is fall.
Huh?
It is fall. Pumpkin.
Well, you're into the fall fucking
Yeah,
flavors.
you're
'Cause
so
I'm
fucking-
in summer, dude. While you're in fall, I'm still stuck here. I'm wearing this coat as like this jacket as a way of saying I know exactly that it's not fucking fall. I feel like I'm standing up to weather. All right, Mitch, I got to take a break, buddy. I love you, kid.
All right, have a safe weekend. I'll talk to you later. Sidekick.
I'll have a safe weekend, sure. Of course I
Don't
will.
go crazy like you normally do.
What are you doing?
Live read.
But the way you came at me like that, I didn't know what the fuck
Scary,
happened.
dude.
You know, because I was trying to get my folding money straightened while I'm doing this, and Chris is running at me. I thought he's here to grab cash.
Where are you going?
What
Did
is
you have
happening,
to put your
Chris?
hand on my drink? That was so weird. Can I just tell you?
Yeah.
He wanted to be nice because he dropped the thing down there, and he literally went to lean over, and this is what he did: thumb right.
Yeah.
I did not realize I did that.
Because you're not a person that cares about this.
And you know how I realized it? I saw Jen reacting to it. Like, her face was like, ooh, and I looked, and it was his hand on my mouth.
You need a new lid?
drink.
You need a new lid?
Thank
I
you.
guess you need a lid right now.
There is a very well-known comic who was listening to the show the day that Jen and Chris dimed out. Jen and Vito dimed out Chris for sucking off your straw when you weren't in the room.
Uh-huh.
And this comic, I would say he's a friend of the show. He said, I'll knock that motherfucker out. He was like screaming at me and basically came across as me like I'm a bad father because I didn't hit Chris. I go, first of all, I'm a father to both those children. Second of all, you know what I mean?
That's
And
my
he
half
goes-
brother.
He goes, it's not, he goes, it would have been gross if he would have asked, but the fact that she would have no knowledge. And he put his, and then he said something about greasy
Really?
fucking mouth all over. Yeah.
Really? My mouth is not greasy.
This is a person that we all consider to be friends. And he was using the word hate about that.
I got a problem on my hands.
I
Yeah.
can't wait. Are you going to tell me in the break
No.
what it was? You're not.
Mm-mm. Because I don't want it to change the way that we all think about this person. Because I decided to myself, I'm going to let him rant. I'm going to let him rant and let it go.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And there's also, this is a person who a lot of times books himself on the show and doesn't. It says at the last minute he cancels. So I don't want a bad, vibe to go down. Vito, you working on all those other mouse you said you were talking about?
Yes.
You seem a little panicky today, and it had me, you know what I mean?
No, that's just
you got to seem calm in front of me, even if things are going bad. You can't start screaming, Ron. I swear to God, this is going to work out.
I'll never fail you. I swear. If I do, you can slap me.
You're like a fucking suicide bomber over in, I'm going to guess, Muslim land is the name of it? Is that where they live, Muslim land?
I just want to be the best that I could be.
I don't want that much. That's more than I'm interested in. All right, let's talk about Dish, baby. Let's talk about Ring. I'd rather talk about Ring.
All right, sounds good.
Ring's mission is to make neighborhoods safer. Today, over 1 million people use the amazing Ring video doorbell to help protect their homes. Ring knows home security begins at the front door, but it doesn't end there.
So now they're extending that same level of security to the rest of your home with the Ring Floodlight Cam. Just like Ring's amazing doorbell, Floodlight Cam is a motion-activated camera and floodlight that connects right to your phone with HD video and two-way audio that lets you know the moment anyone steps on your property.
See and speak to visitors. Even set off an alarm right from your phone with Ring's Floodlight Cam. When things go bump in the night, you'll immediately know what it is, whether you're home or away. The Ring Floodlight Cam lets you keep an eye on your home from anywhere.
Ring Floodlight offers the ultimate in home security with high visibility floodlights and a powerful HD camera that puts security in your hands. With Ring, you're always home. Save up to $150 off a Ring of Security kit when you go to ring.com/comedy. Ring.com/comedy. That's ring.com/comedy.
Bennington show. Ron Bennington, Gail Bennington.
Yeah.
Chris is here. Jen. Vito.
Yeah.
Vito said you had something on your mind today. You never come in and say there's something that you need to express, but you've done it today.
I just wanted to say happy birthday to my mom. It's her 60th birthday today.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
We love you, Leslie.
So I just wanted to say that to her on air because she listens every day.
You know what? I admire how close you two are.
Yeah. I mean, it's just been me and her since I was 4, so hard not to be.
Well, there's been other men.
Well, yeah.
Stop saying that. She's done very well for herself in that field.
A little too well.
But what is it that you love about your mom?
I don't know. She's given up a lot for me. So
like what?
Like when I was a kid, we didn't really have a lot of money,
mm-hmm.
and she would like not eat lunch for days so she could like send me to a good school or send me to a summer camp or something like that. So I wasn't just home alone all day. So just that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, that's the kind of stuff that you don't get when you're a kid, but as you get older, you realize that stuff like that happens.
Yeah, and like there's like the whole reason I like movies so much is because my mom used to take me to movies every day in the summer when I was a kid because it was so hot and she just wanted a place to cool off.
You guys didn't have AC?
No, we did, but she wanted to be out.
Mm-hmm.
So
instead, like, why don't you just say something to your mom, Leslie, adult to adult, about what she did for little Vito?
I'm sorry I was a very shitty little kid who wasn't grateful for a lot of things. So adult to adult, I get how hard it was to give up your own things so your kid could have stuff.
And you look back on that now, how's that feel?
Oh, I feel awful.
You felt like you were a bad son, huh?
Not a bad son. I just felt like I was a bad kid.
That's surprising to me because I don't think I've ever met a sweeter guy in my life than
I know.
You. But you didn't feel like you were that way when you were younger.
No, I was a really bad little kid.
What changed it for you?
I don't know. I just got older, and like I got friendlier and more popular, and it just But when I was a little kid, I was really bad, and like I had really bad anger problems, and I would flip out on all like. I got into a lot of fights. I got kicked out of a lot of summer camps and stuff because if somebody said something to me, I didn't hold back. I just hit them right away.
Right. So, I mean, you were angry because you hurt, right?
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
So what would you like to say to your mom now about making it through that for you?
Just thanks for not giving up on me, I guess. So I just want to say happy birthday.
I mean, you don't have to make it too small. You can say something from your heart if you like.
Something real.
I forgot what was the question.
There wasn't a question. This is supposed to be you. You speaking from your heart to your mom on her birthday.
Hey, Mom, happy birthday. Thank you for everything. And thank you for being there for me and still being there for me and letting me move back in to your apartment when I didn't have a lot of money. Thank you for still helping me out when I have some problems and I need a little help. And yeah, thanks.
Now, you and your mom have musical bonding too, right?
Yeah.
What is your song with your mom? What's your song?
She would say Growing Up. That's what she would say is her number one with me.
Leslie, for your birthday, this is an Acapulco version of Vito singing Growing Up. Go ahead. Did I say Acapulco? I basically said a Mexican beach.
I think you had some version of the song.
No, go ahead.
I don't know all the words, so I'm just going to try to remember.
Boy, it's your song with your
I know.
mom. You don't even
I know.
the words.
Bad son.
I
stood stone cold at midnight.
Old cone?
Snow
Ended
cone?
in my masquerade. And I took one chance. It was just right. Suspended the night brigade.
Suspended the night brigade? They're not doing it anymore?
I went over the bridge and passed by the rain. And I walked with a crooked crutch.
Nice.
And then I said it was too much. Growing up.
Growing up?
Growing up. Growing up. I can't remember anything. That's
your song.
What happened at the bridge?
I feel terrible. I feel awful. I'm going to hear about this.
Did you turn on volume for something you didn't have yet? I just realized that's what you just did.
I figured that whole time he was getting the song. Is this your way of telling your mom that you've got Springsteen on Broadway tickets for her?
No.
Wow, good song.
I don't have that. Please don't put that in her mind.
Has anyone ever confused a cappella with Acapulco in history?
I actually thought you meant Acapulco.
Why would I mean that? That's insane. I'm going to ask everybody here. Do you even imagine Bad Vito the way he remembers himself as being a terrible kid? I can't picture that.
No, he's such a sweet boy.
Yeah.
It's weird to think that you're a bad kid. I can't imagine you being... And I can't imagine you being bad to your mama.
No.
Yeah, and it's fun. Like, it's the like camp I grew up to growing up being a bad kid. Like, when I stopped getting kicked out, I'm still friends with, like, some of the counselors who knew me when I was a really, really shitty kid. Mm-hmm. Like, one of them's one of my best friends. He's, like, 32 now. He works in this building. And he's like still one of my best friends to this day and remembers how bad I was.
What was he saying that you would do?
His big thing was he was like, he would defend me and say, you weren't a bad kid. You were always at the wrong place at the wrong time. And he was like, everybody knew, like I said before, I was never afraid to like fight back against a kid who would say something about me. And he was like, it just sucked that.
What would they say about you?
Yeah, I get called fat a lot.
Why?
Because I was pretty fat.
Why? Oh my God! Why?
As soon as they said that, you started swinging, right?
Oh yeah, a kid called me fat. I'd fucking
good. I don't see that as bad.
Yeah.
I say you went out there to stomp some ass. You know what I mean?
If I had a fat kid, I'd tell him to fight like hell.
Yeah, fight like a fucking fat little maniac.
You throw those fat arms. I would.
Sure. I could put some fat on that fuck. You know,
and then
I
I'd bring my fat ass down there and I'd fight their parents.
I don't want to say the name of the but there's a New York news reporter whose son I grew up with, who I fucking hated. And one day he called me fat and threw a dodgeball at me like point blank. So I waited until he ran over near me and I grabbed him and I threw him into some plexiglass.
I don't see this as being a bad kid. I see this as being a kid who got a little comeuppance. You know what I mean? He's going to say to himself, you're going to fucking try sticks and stones? I fucking use actual sticks and stones and plexiglass.
One of my best friends in elementary school, her name was Jackie. She was the biggest girl in my class. And not only would she beat anyone who said anything about her, she beat up anyone who said anything about anyone she liked.
I know.
And it was great. I loved it.
So you were a good kid. Except for to your mom, I guess.
I just feel like I wasn't appreciative of some things that I had growing up because I took them for granted. Because
you didn't call her the C word,
no,
did you?
I did not call her the C word.
But you did.
I never called her the C word.
But you thought it.
I never thought it.
Okay, good.
I definitely did the typical kid stuff like you see on like Better Things, where like she loves Better Things because
it reminds her of you.
Yeah.
How fucking unbelievable terrible you were.
Like,
when you were maybe like having sex with an older man. And
no, I never had sex with him.
she had to accept you for it.
Is it difficult for her because none of those kids are fat and she doesn't?
Yeah.
They don't have a fat temper.
She wants a fat kid in there. We get made fun of for being fat all the
Vito,
time.
would you be the kind of kid that your mom would say like, "Oh, you can't do that," or "You're grounded," and then she walked in the room and then you flip her off and she'd walk away?
I'd close the door and be like, "Fuck you."
That's not,
Kids angrily giving the finger is one of the funniest things ever.
Dude, everybody used to do it to this nun when she would go down. Like, she would walk by, everyone would give the desk, just fuck behind her back. And then she says, I know when I walk down here, the hands go up. I'm like, oh, shit. How'd she see that? There was like something, there was like a picture in the room, and there was like reflective on there.
Right.
And she could just see all the kids doing that, but she didn't know what because she was Italian, she didn't know about Bafangul. All right, so what would you like to say to your mom on her birthday? And be from the heart, like from a place of the heart.
Happy birthday, Mom. You're a great person. You did some great things in your life. Congratulations on those. You've been doing pretty well. You can keep on doing well, so just keep it up.
Why do you talk to her like she's a stranger? You know what I mean? It's like if I said you would say something nice to an anonymous listener who's had ACL surgery. You know, Vito, your mom is the only Trump backer that we know, and she's still with him, right?
She turned on him.
What?
She turned on him in the past few weeks. So
what?
It all started, the cracks first started coming in with the transgender ban on the military. She was like, that's messed up. You shouldn't go back on your word.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a good point, Mom. And then lately her thing is she's saying all these things that he promised everybody aren't happening. And I don't like people I don't like voting for a guy who told me stuff was going to happen that's not happening.
It begins.
Yeah.
She doesn't like the Rocket Man stuff. That's pretty scary. And
he's a rocket man.
And she's finding out he's not as pro-military as she thought he was. So she's turning on him.
That surprises me.
Shocked me.
I thought maybe she likes to see black guys kneel.
She loves the NFL.
We need to break here, Christopher.
Yeah, let's take a quick break.
Who's coming in?
Mr. Rory Albanese.
Nice.
Roy Albanese, great comedian for years. Was a producer of the Jon Stewart get-together, The Daily Show. We'll be right back. Bennington.
Welcome back to Bennington. Rory Albanese is in studio. Rory will be performing at McGuire's Comedy Club in Bohemia, New York, October 6th and 7th, and the Comedy Works in Saratoga Springs, New York, from October 19th to the 21st. Go to RoryAlbanese.com for all tickets and tour dates, and on Twitter at Rory Albanese.
You're back in the stand-up full-time now.
Yeah, I'm doing it full-time. I'm gonna, I'm working on a pilot for Comedy Central right now that I've been writing, and I'll pitch more TV stuff. I just, executive producing late night shows is fun, but it's a lot of hours, man.
It's an actual job.
It's a job.
It's a real job.
I've worked, I did it for so many years. I was at the Daily Show for like 14 years, and then I left, and then looking to do more stand up full time, and then I got the Wilmore Show, which lasted, from start to finish for me like 2.5 years. That one was cool. I think I've told you that. It was the Daily Show was great, but Wilmore was fun because I got to be on the show, which was a nice change of pace, which is actually one of the reasons I did it. But after it ended, I just took it as a sign of like, I'm going to just focus on stand-up. I taped an hour in the summer, and, and all that. So it's been good, man. I like it. I'm definitely learning how to not have a job. It's a weird thing.
Now, what happened with your special? Because I knew you were negotiating with a company that isn't.
I'm like basically, I was taping it originally for Showtime, and now I have it, and I don't know if it's going to go to Showtime or not. I'm finding out where it's going to go, you know. But I'm really happy with it. It's good. I like it. It's one of those things like you build up so much in your head about what it's going to be, and then when you like it, you're like, oh, thank God, at least I like it, you know. Because sometimes you do something like that, and you look at it and you go, oh man, I hate this thing so much, but I'm really happy with it.
I've never done a single thing in my career that I liked. By the time I was, it's never been what I thought.
Of course,
it was going to be. It was always fell flat.
It's never, the other thing you start to realize too is like expectations wise, like you tape an hour special and you don't go, once this gets out there, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm going to be the biggest name, but you just go, well, I'm proud of it. It's a quality thing. When people see it, they'll like it. Hopefully people see it, and that's all you can kind of hope for.
A friend of all of ours has a thing on Netflix, and I noticed that every time he goes up, the pop is bigger of people with him, and that's Ari Shaffir.
Yeah.
Ari Shaffir is getting a nice buzz. From that Netflix. And the difference between, I think, that and the other ones is like, it kind of hangs there. So a lot of people see it months after it came out.
And if you watch somebody else's special, it'll say, hey, you might like this one.
Oh.
Which is what's nice about it. So it's kind of knows what, or thinks it knows what you want to watch.
And everybody, and it's a platform that everybody uses a lot.
Yeah.
So once they give you a little bit of push on there, then you're just like, well, I know that guy because I've seen his face.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That goes a long way with people.
It's a gigantic difference.
It's a huge difference. And I think Ryan Hamilton had a great one on there too.
Yeah.
And he got like that, Ari had it too. I think the big page ad, you turn on your Netflix and like the whole thing is just Ryan Hamilton's head. You're like, that's so awesome. Yeah. It's exciting. It's especially exciting when you know the people because, it's, and you just know how hard everyone's working. So, you get to that point, I think, in comedy in general where you're excited for other people. I think when you start, and I notice this still with a lot of younger comics when I see them at clubs, like there seems to be this more of like this competitive sense of like, if that guy gets that, then I'm not going to get it. And it's like, that's not how it works. Like you got to work, you're doing your own thing. And kind of the joy of it is it's your own platform, it's your own art form, and you're figuring out like where you're going to fit and find, and what's cool about media to me now is there's so many places to land things, and there's so many like little niche markets and stuff. So it's, look, for my hour, I'll know, in the next probably couple of weeks where it'll end up. Hopefully it'll be in a place where my head is somewhere that people recognize it. Cause that's what, I think the biggest thing is with the special is people getting a sense of what you're about so that when you're in a club, they go, oh, I know that guy's style. Yeah. I
also think as you get older, you start to realize you're playing with house money. You know what I mean? Like when you're young, you're like, am I going to have to go back and work a real job? But after you've been around, you've had some stuff happen for you, you're like, okay, my life came out better. Even though I didn't get everything I wanted, my life came out better than I would have thought in high school.
Yeah.
And
you never had to like really... That's why I always laugh when you hear like actors complaining or somebody, performers, you hear like, oh, the hours are really tough on the movie. I'm like, yeah, but you were pretending to be a coal miner. Like some people are actual coal miners.
They're actual
so
coal
it's like,
miners.
you just like, that kind of stuff is always so funny, especially having been behind the scenes for so long. And then now seeing the difference between when you do get to do some stuff on camera. It's simply just better. I mean, it's more fun, and there's so much work in producing it. And I'll still, I like writing. Like I'm gonna, I'll jump on projects like they're gonna do Night of Too Many Stars on HBO, which is like a charity event for autism. Robert Smigel puts. So I'm gonna
brilliant.
Yeah, so I'm gonna work on that because I love Smigel and like I want to just be a part of that because Jon Stewart's hosting it, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a different feeling than going, oh my God, what's my next job? What's my next job? What's my next job?
Yeah.
And it's nice to, have done enough that you can, I could always pick up a writing gig here and there if I need to,
By the way, Smigel is one of those guys that his career is so interesting and he's done so many things that maybe most people don't even connect.
Yeah.
But to me, that's the brilliant kind of.
Yeah, he's my favorite kind of guy in that vein, which is he's not walk down the street and everyone's like, it's Smigel, and there's people following around, but like there's nothing you haven't. For people listening, it's like he's the guy behind Triumph, the Insult Comic Dog.
Yeah,
he's also one of the kind of most prolific SNL writers of all time.
The TV Funhouse is basically
TV Funhouse is his whole thing. And then prior to that, he was in the Bears. He was the other guy. The guy who wasn't George Wendt or Farley. He's been on SNL for years. He's written. He's just some of the best comedy you've ever seen. He's behind. He used to write all those Frank Sinatra with Phil Hartman. Like,
is that right?
Yeah, like I've asked him before, like some of those lines that are so memorable, and Hartman's like, I got chunks in my stool with more talent than you, things like that.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
stuff,
like that's
man.
so it's he's one of those guys for me, in comedy where you just kind of you're like kind of a super fan of a dude people don't know, So anytime he's doing something and I can get involved, I'm like, if I can work with Smigel, I'll do it, And
I think that I don't even know if he knows how great it all is, what I mean? Because to him it seems normal.
Yep.
I'm just going from one thing to the next.
100%.
But from the outside, you're like, how's that? You're four guys. You're not even one guy.
I know.
Yeah,
he's also just such a funny performer. I did a pilot with him like a year and a half ago. It was Dan Harmon who did that show Community, and then they did a pilot. He actually ended up doing a similar version of the show, but in a different thing. The idea was he hosted a talk show, but he had a time travel. He had a time machine, and he would bring people from history to his panel.
Yeah.
So I was on it as Ben Franklin, and Smigel was Einstein for this pilot show. And I have never laughed because we rehearsed it the day before, and I have never laughed so hard. We were just going back and forth. There were Bonnie McFarlane was on it too. She was who was she? And Seton Smith. It was really fun. Bonnie was maybe Roosevelt. I'm trying to think of who she was. She was like a historic first lady. But it was just so fun. We all got to put on like these crazy costumes and stuff. And it's just Smigel as Einstein with his hair everywhere. And he's like, the people say, and it's just all like these Triumph style lines. And he's like, I do not.
See, this is all I want to see right now. This is amazing.
Yeah. So you never know what happens with those kind of things. But man, like I said, if someone's like Smigel's involved, I'm like, I'll do it. I don't even care. Like I don't even need to hear the rest of the story.
I saw Bonnie the other night. They picked her to do her act for like some commercial or something, right? So, she introduced me to the director. And then she said to me like 2 days later, she goes, remember that guy I introduced you to? He goes, when we were in front of the client, he said that he came to the stand that night and she did one of the jokes from the place and it killed. And he said, and then Bonnie turned at me and winked like, we got it, right? And Bonnie's like, I would never fucking do that.
Wow. That's hilarious.
She went so
But from his perspective, she was like, huh? Who's the best?
Yeah. She went so Larry David. And I wasn't even there for this.
That's so
and it was
funny.
like right before she had to go up and she just had all this, like, you know me. I'm not kind of, and I was just dying that
so
this is stayed in her crawl. She's hilarious.
Oh, she's so funny.
Yeah.
And, but it's also, there's also something fun. Like stand up is not I don't know. Like I find like cockiness in stand up don't, like you can't be like, I feel like I nailed that one.
Yeah.
Like you kind of always come across like a dick if you're doing that.
Yeah.
So just knowing Bonnie, her being like, that joke landed, huh? Let me wink at a couple people.
Looks like we're going to be selling some toasters.
Yeah, huh? Yeah. You're welcome, America.
But it is true. It's like when I owned my comedy club, the people that always told me that they killed before they got there, I'd be like, they'd come in and go, look, I'm killing everywhere. And I want to come down to Florida. And those were always the people you couldn't trust.
Right.
Because there are people who believe they just killed when they didn't.
That's such an amazing phenomenon to me with stand-up where, I have sets where I'll come off stage and I'm, oh man, like that, I tanked that. And people are like, no, I got a lot of laughs. But it's like, so much of it's between you and your own head about what a good set is. But then you see people walk off stage by what my standard would be a total bomb. They're like, fucking smoked them. You're like, really? Like that's, how do I live in, how do I get that brain? Because I'm like, I'm constantly just feeling like crap. How do I get the brain where I'm like, what's next? And winking at people.
Yeah. Like, that's like the same kind of dude who'll be talking to you and he's like, I'm not dating anymore, but I'm a pretty attractive guy. And you're always like, what? You always want to be like, huh? What are you talking? People who either compliment or like, I'm a good person.
Right.
These are the same kind of...
Never listen to anybody who says I'm a good person.
I'm a good person. I'm attractive.
Yeah.
I'm a good husband. Like, these people, you're like,
Quinn actually did, I think, in his long story short, one of his, like, hour-long amazing things, one-man shows that he did over the last couple of years, where he did a whole thing about that, where people do that, like, I'm not one of those people. They always like to let I'm not one of those people who's going to come early, but I'll leave late. And like, just why don't you just don't? You don't have to tell me. You don't have to pre-sell me on the kind of person you are. Like, I've got the ability to figure it out after a few hours.
I was just had read an article about Quinn on the iBang, and it forced me into a rabbit hole of going back and reading his tweets. It's the only guy whose tweets that can just make me laugh out loud like a stand-up.
I'm not kidding you. This is not an exaggeration. I joined Twitter because my boyfriend was showing me Colin Quinn tweets all the time. And I was like, fine, I'll sign up for Twitter because I wanted to have access to the things Colin Quinn was saying all the time. It's I should tell him that, but I would be like embarrassed that he would be like, all right, you weirdo.
I actually find his, like, the level of sarcasm in his tweets is, you can't.
He does it better than anyone else.
I got to be one of the best out there, no?
That's why I'm still part of the limelight.
That's why I'm still part of the limelight. Like, his entire attitude is
go up a little further.
Perfect.
Well, just right off the bat here. Note to self: never create 3 masterpieces in a row, because the expectation for your latest is a lot of pressure.
It's unreal.
God.
Yeah.
God, he's so funny.
He also
dude.
anytime anyone writes him an insult, he will retweet it. It doesn't matter what it is. Whatever. If somebody's like, Quinn, you're a piece of garbage, he's like, okay, fair point. So,
excited to be going out on tour this year as part of the comedy boom.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's 100% of them are funny.
Every single one.
Look at that one for an extra $50. It's so funny.
I love
it. You can't make this stuff up.
That's so great.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of. And then I just read that I guess that he's moving. He's leaving New York. Broke my heart.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's threatening. I think he's teasing. But at some point, I'm wearing. I'll be adding tour dates as people start to realize the importance of my role in society. Most important tip for comics going on tour: even during the tough days, you got to keep your sense of humor, especially on stage. These are fucking so.
Look at that! Go back up for that. The tour perks. That's what I was like. Tour perks for an extra $25. You get a finger point when I come out of the opening. I know this nutcase. That's literally what we were just talking about. That guy claimed Bonnie did. Hey, how are you? Look at this guy, huh?
See, that's actually why I signed up for Twitter.
They're
I was like, I thought it was like, this is a Colin Quinn machine that I could just get Colin Quinn's thoughts.
Comedy tip: I find some of my best jokes come to me when I'm watching another comedian's act. It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. It's hard, and it's hard to be that consistently funny on social media, and it's also I also love dudes like Quinn who can adjust to any form. They're just like, is that the thing to be funny on? All right, I'll be funny on that.
And there's a slight annoyance like that. Hey, gang. You know what I mean? We're all together on social media.
Yeah, a lot of you know what I'm talking about, folks. That kind of stuff. Yeah, it's like we're all just, Yeah, it's so funny. God, yeah, he's one of my favorites. He's also just one of the nicest guys out there.
Yeah, it's it's incredible, and it's probably not known, but the things that he'll do for other people who find themselves in the in the worst part of their lives. He just shows up.
Totally.
Yeah.
I before I taped my hour, I texted him, I was like, hey, maybe one night at the Cellar, come, and I just kind of joke around with him because he always works earlier shows, I was like, it's like every now and then I'll get scheduled to do like a 7:30 or 8 o'clock spot. I'm like, Jesus, I turned 40. What's going on here? You know what I mean? And because Quinn's always in there early, I was like, I'll come in early one night. And he's like, I'm out of town. We were texting, and then all of a sudden he just calls me and he goes, what? He's like, we're not going to have dinner about this. What's your problems? And I'm like, no problems. I just wanted to get, and it's just when you have a conversation with a dude like that, he just puts it all into perspective. You can get so bent out of shape about what this hour means, and I'm going to do this hour, and then it's going to take me to the next level. And he's like, no, He's like, you can do the hour. Some people are going to see it. They're going to like it. And then you can do another one. And then you're just going to keep, like, in other words, he doesn't put this, like, things up on a mantle, you know?
Right.
I mean, that's why that sarcasm about 3 masterpieces. Like, he does not view anything that way. That's why it's so funny. And it's a really good advice because there's a lot of stuff out there and there's a lot of specials and a lot of comics and, you know, so
it's true.
It's just a very healthy way to look at it.
But then I would also go, you just did 3 masterpieces. You know what I mean? Like,
he did.
That,
100% true.
That coloring book that he did, I just sit around and you're just like, well, you, Gail, you said from New York Stories about, he brought up the thing about black girls always have 2 kinds of candies.
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
was
right.
like that kind of stuff. And there's one thing to observe, but to remember it from when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And like what? And like something that is like a universal truth, but I don't know if you would know it if you didn't grow up in like an urban place where you're around people like who are different than you all the time.
Yeah.
But that shit had me laughing because it was reminding me of girls I went to high school with who would like always walk around with like lollipops in their mouth while they're eating Fun Dip, and I'm like, it was almost like a fashion statement, and I'm just like, or like they'd have a ring pop. I'm like, who's even seen one of those?
Who's eating a ring pop?
Fucking get a ring pop.
Who's eating a ring pop? Yeah, and he also does that thing that I love, and I think this was one of the things that made Jon Stewart so successful in The Daily Show as well. But Colin can take an extremely complex issue and then just break it down into like the most bare bones, like hysterical components, but components you can understand. You know, like he talks about ancient Rome. You know, I'm trying. You know, one of these things, and he's talking about how, like, you know, they came in, the Italians, and all the Greeks columns, and like these, you call these good columns, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, you know, like when a contractor sees another contractor's work, he says, this guy didn't know what he was doing. You don't put that on a column, you know, and it's like just explaining like the history of the world to you, like you're watching Goodfellas, you know, and it's just genius.
I'm going to just do one more thing from this special too, because this fucking killed me. He was saying like Italian guys are afraid of anything. It was like, go get the bats. Like they just would have bats around. But then if you tried something new, like here's some frozen yogurt, and they're like, whoa. Hey, and the way he was walking,
Get that away from me,
thing was only Italian guys back up that way.
Yeah.
There's no other
like light on their feet as they moved.
They're like,
it's like moving. He's like, whoa.
Afraid of frozen yogurt, like there's something bad.
I'm like looking over his shoulder. What the fuck?
It's that like,
what is that?
It's that I have a lot of that, like my Italian side of my family. It's that like macho thing that like if for some reason you're seen next to something that's not manly, then you're just gay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like it's like, and it's like the fear of like, I'm not touching frozen yogurt. And what if somebody sees me? You know?
Right. Exactly.
Even if it's delicious, I'm not eating it.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's so, he's one of the best. I really hope, I mean, I guess if he goes to LA, it's not like he's going to move, you know, like you were just talking about, you got to a point in your life. I mean, I went to LA a couple years ago and a buddy of mine out there as an actor gave me really good advice because I was really stressed about it. I was like, I don't know, it's a big move. And then he was like, you know, you can come back.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. It's not like it's not like I'm 22 and like I've got like $1,000 and that's it. Once I'm there, you know, I gotta wait. Hopefully I can like drive my mom's station wagon back across the country. It's like, no, you go for a while and you see if you like it and then you can always move back. It's, you know, moving sucks, but you can do it. You know?
Dude, I know this woman who met a guy online, so she moved to where he lived, and it's just all fucked up.
Wow.
And I said, well, you should go back. She goes like this, no, this is my fate. She actually said, I made this move because I thought it was fate, and now this is what I'm like,
that's it.
It's way too short. This isn't the fucking 1800s.
Yeah. And it's not like going, traveling's not that hard.
Right.
That's not like you took a stagecoach.
Right.
And you're like, well, that's it. Now I just live in Cleveland. It's like, no, you don't have to do that.
Personally, I like moving to new places. Like the one place I've never lived in my life is the mountains. And in the back of my mind, I was like, could I be up in the mountains? Is that something I could do full time or?
But do you ever feel like, though, that I always felt that about choosing this career path? Yeah. It felt like the biggest, I remember after college, all of my buddies from college moved to the mountains. They moved to Colorado. Yeah. Because at the time we were into like, you know, mountain biking and things like that. And so they moved up to like deep in like, you know, not to Boulder, but outside of Boulder.
Right.
Like they were in the middle of nowhere. Highland, I think it was called, in Colorado. And I was so jealous of them that they just got to like live in the mountains for a couple years and like just do this cool outdoor stuff. And I just felt like, oh, I can't do that because I want to do this. And in order to do this, you got to be around people,
Right.
you know, and it's like you can't. I mean, I guess you could do gigs in the mountains, but you know, it's who's there, like an eagle. You know?
Yes,
It's like,
right.
you're like, it's tough enough to draw in a city, let alone
Right.
in the mountains.
But like the technology is already there that you could do a show from anywhere now.
Totally.
And soon, we're not going to know who. There's not going to be any reason for anybody to
Yeah.
be together. You'll just be like my next guest, and you fucking touch something on your head.
Yeah.
They're just next to you.
Yeah,
right?
and they're just thinking their entire interview when you're hearing it. No, but I think one of the things that will start to happen, and I know with the nightly show was an issue where we were doing so much communicating over email and things, and I would get annoyed because it's sort of like, well, we have writers, we're a group of comedy writers, so if everyone's sitting in their office and then just emailing, you're missing a fundamental component, which is like 10 funny people in a room doing this, and
Yeah,
like
just
connecting
doing
and then
this,
stacking jokes on the other jokes.
Right.
So, you know, that's the thing about, to me, that's always, and again, you know, people can do things how you want to do them, but I would just say to the writers, it's like, you know, the minute we're doing it that way, why aren't I just getting a couple of funny guys in India?
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
true,
It's
right?
like,
Yeah.
and, you know, then I don't have to pay a guild, guild salaries. You know?
And it is true, like when you get a room together like that, you can take 5-10 minutes to go over your Colin Quinn hysterical stories, and then like let's get back into it.
No, you
And there's
need
some
to.
kind of new, refreshing thing going on.
No, it's like audience warm up.
Yeah.
Like you come in, that's sort of the thing I miss the most about those jobs at those shows was the morning. You come in and whatever, you read the paper that morning on the way in, or you watch some stupid thing on Fox the night before, or whatever. Even if you saw a movie, or it's like you have this like 15 minutes of sitting in a room with funny people, and you're talking and telling stories and riffing, and like it sort of like warms up the room, and then you kind of get down to that's how I always like to operate anyway. But it's really fun. I miss that. I miss the camaraderie of like being around because the other thing too is around other comedians and comedy writers and stuff. There's not a lot of rules about what you can and can't say.
Yes.
So I miss being able to say things. I used to do a bit with the guys where if somebody died, somebody famous died, I would come in the room and say, hey, hey assholes, my sitcom with so-and-so just got picked up, but 2 hours earlier, it was in the news, or an hour earlier that the person died. And then I'd tell everyone off.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I'd be like, so you're a piece of shit, and I'd go around the whole room, and then they'd try to interrupt me. The bit would be like, and I'd be like, let me finish, I never will work with any of you sons of bitches,
I love that.
You can't, it's a pretty dark joke because someone's been dead an hour, but in the comedy world, you can do that. Yeah, you can do that because you have to traffic in the absurd and the crazy in order to stay in it.
That happened to Al Franken, that when he was running, they went back to some sketches that didn't run at SNL, and they were just horrifically mean, and he's like, no, we would have to do that to, get up. Like I would, and when you're trying to run for senator, it's hard to convince Minnesota.
Of course.
This is the creative process, everybody.
Well, and by the way, more and more of the country's becoming Minnesota. People are more and more sensitive, and it's even more difficult at a comedy show, to not offend someone even now in a writer's room. I'm especially when you have newer writers. There was a lot of that at the nightly show where I have to explain to people listen, this is a safe space, but not safe space so you feel safe. This is a safe space so we can say what we want. Yeah. And you need to do it because you're talking about, heavy topics in the news and things like that. You got to do it. And so that's sort of what I, for me is now I'll do that. I'll text Jon Stewart, when Don Rickles died, I was like, hey, John, you're a piece of shit. I did this whole thing about how my Rickles pilot just got picked up, and he was trying to stop me via text. He was like, check the news. I'm like, no, I'm not going to check the news. I'm not done, Yeah. And then we were laughing about it. I go, Rickles would have loved that bit, right? That would have been his favorite bit, but it's you can't really, now I'm saying it on the radio, but it's long ago enough that people,
but there is some truth, and I was telling this that the term this thing that people do at comedy clubs now, ooh,
I know it's rampant.
You never used to hear people do that, and that I hadn't heard that since maybe my third grade class. People were like, ooh, Chris is in trouble, and now they do it. I'm like, for who? Who's going to come in here?
Consistently do it, and it's this weird. I mean, I think there's always a psychology to any crowd, but there's this weird thing I think that's starting to happen where people are looking at other people, making sure that if they laugh at something, they're not going to offend that guy. So it's like they might find it funny, but their fear is by laughing out loud, you know, the two lesbians, you know, 2 tables over might get offended because is that making fun of lesbian, you know, and it's like, no, they're laughing. I can it's like, it's almost like the room is more self-conscious about themselves. And what they're doing in the room than they are just kind of as an audience watching the show. But it's an interesting thing because it's getting worse every day.
I used to argue for that point when I was in 3rd grade, right? I have to say to the teacher, why are you're yelling at me for laughing? It's math class. He's making duck noises. Like, I'm gonna fucking let this.
How do I not? How do I not?
It sounds like there's like a duck. I can't help it. I can't tell you how relieved I am. But they would get mad. Like you would be in trouble too for laughing.
I was always in trouble for laughing, and it's probably the most I've ever been sent to the principal. Most of the reason was laughing at a friend of mine who did something ridiculous, and it's like. That's an involuntary response. But you can't. That's like getting mad at me for sneezing.
But in the teacher's mind, you're like abetting the crime. You know what I mean?
Obviously.
You're like you're the wheelman in the bank robbery now. You know, you did it. But I used to talk about that with a lot of comics about you know how much being funny mattered when I was a kid, and it's such a shared experience with so many people. I'm sure you had it, but where the teacher would say something that was a perfect setup to a great joke. And you'd quickly do the math in your head and go, I'm going to get a huge laugh and in a lot of trouble.
Right.
And then I'd go for the laugh every time. And then, and like, you know, you get kicked out or sent to the principal's office, but the whole time you're like, it's still worth it. Like, that was like, that was good. That was, how do I not, you know? And, but, you know, but I think that impulse is odd though, that groaning impulse. And I do agree. It's very childish. It's like this, I don't know.
It did not exist in the 80s and 90s.
Even 10 years ago, it didn't really exist. It's really, I mean, it started to rear its head, but it's definitely worse now than it's been. And colleges, too, are very bad.
So, like, that's the thing is, like, if the reason you're making that sound that it's not funny to you or offensive to you, your silence speaks way more volumes than making sound. Do you know what I mean? So it's like either you find it funny.
It is like they're enjoying it. So somebody even tried to say that it's a positive thing that they go, ooh.
Like, you went there.
Yeah, exactly.
We both had the same exact.
Ooh, you went there.
But I find it hypnotizing. I really do. I find it like regressive. Of adult behavior. Chris, no, we don't plug anymore for Roy's great comment. I want people to
listen, Quinn's got a lot of plugs.
Yes, he did. You're plugging the shit out of Common.
Plug his Twitter, too.
Rory Albanese is in studio. Rory will be performing at McGuire's Comedy Club in Bohemia, New York, October 6th and 7th, and will be performing at the Comedy Works in Saratoga Springs, New York, October 19th to the 21st. RoryAlbanese.com for tickets and all the tour dates, and on Twitter at Rory Albanese.
I heard you bring up your buddy Jon Stewart. He's doing more stand up now than at the Cellar.
Yeah, it's been fun. I would probably like maybe 2 years ago now, I kind of like convinced him to come down one night and I'm not, believe me, I'm not taking credit for like, now he likes stand up. I'm just saying it was so fun to see him for the first time just kind of get up on that stage. But now he's been kind of coming consistently, like, you know, once a week. If he's in town, he'll pop in and do some time. And it's just awesome because you know, seeing him in that environment, he was one of the guys there in the beginning, you know, before that club became what it is. And he knows it, you know, not only knows it well, but like he just knows how to like dominate that stage. And it's really fun for me because I've only known him as the host of the Daily Show. And I've done a couple of gigs with him over the years, like once or twice he went out, did a gig on the Daily and I'd open for him or something. But seeing him just as a comic with notes and figuring it out, and then like coming upstairs afterwards and like getting in, you know, having comic head where you're like, how come that didn't go as well as it did? You know, it's just fun. And then he's just hanging out at the table, and he's also just a really approachable, cool guy. So I think all the other comics that work there are so instantly love him. Like all the guys I know that he didn't know were like, dude, when John comes, it's so cool because he's so nice and he's so approachable. He's not sitting there and at a separate table with like sunglasses on and like he's just hanging out. You know, drives himself in. You know, he's very chill.
Well, I remember before the Daily Show, he wasn't doing Daily Show type material. You know what I mean? He was stand up.
Yep.
And, comedy first. I thought he was incredibly funny. And when it comes to political comedy, he's as good as it gets, but he doesn't have to do that
No, he doesn't.
at all.
Yep, he definitely does.
Which is really interesting because you see him so far in that thing where literally people were taking what he said, quite seriously, whether it was comedy or not.
Yeah.
And the next day it was like, well, Jon Stewart put this in perspective. But did think he could also do that with a TV commercial, or, or anything else. The relationship stuff, whatever.
Yeah, and he's also just, we used to talk about this, and he brought this up to me. It really helped me understand producing, early on, which was what the Daily Show really is, or any late night talk show really is it's just John doing stand up. And then you go, well, how do we make it, more television friendly for 30 minutes a night? So, you have the desk, you have a suit, you got the set, then you have graphics, you have but at the end of the day, if you strip all that stuff away, what he's really doing is just like, pithy comedy about what's happening in the world. So it's a
Carson monologue, but you've turned around and produced it into being something else.
Exactly. So it's which is what, producing is. It's like you're just sort of trying to like deliver the content in an interesting way. And so when you see him go back on stage, it's still like, oh, wow. I've been, I think that's why people have, obviously because he's famous is why people get initially excited when he gets on stage because, oh my God, a famous person. But there's also a thing about John where like, you kind of want to know what he thinks about stuff.
Right.
And like that, like that's how I am with like Chris Rock. And there's just certain people where you kind of go like, I wonder what Chris Rock feels about this whole kneeling thing. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain people you just want to know. Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, John was one of those guys that could kind of make them feel better. Like, all right, John's laughing about it, or John's like, he seemed like he had, and I could tell you from working with him, he's one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. I mean, he really is intimidatingly bright in the sense of he can talk about the Mets lineup from like 1963, and he can also talk about world affairs, and he can talk about the economy. I mean, he's one of the most well-rounded, smart people I've ever met. I fundamentally believe he has a photographic memory because he used to do stuff on the show where I would watch him. I'd be sitting in the studio on like off to the side watching the show on a monitor and reading the prompter along with him, monitoring the script and whatever. And that way during commercial breaks, we can go and make changes if we wanted to retape something. But sometimes he would call an audible mid-script. Like he would get a sense from the crowd that they weren't going to like a joke that was coming up. He would change the joke on the fly to either something he just thought of in the moment or to something we talked about at like 9 a.m, like a joke he just remembered from like 9 this morning. He'd flip the joke, and then there'd be a callback to the joke he changed like a minute and a half later, and the prompter's ripping by, and then he would change the callback to match the joke he changed, or he'd skip it. Like he was doing things that were like, as a performer and then also a behind the scenes kind of producer writer guy at the time, just going like, whoa, he's got, and then I'd be like, oh no, he's not going to stick this landing. I'm like, he did it. It was just amazing to watch his brain operate as a producer, a writer, and a performer all at the same time. And he could make edit points in his head. He would make sure if he delivered something and then we redid it, he would deliver it the exact same way or the different way that we needed it done. Or I go up to the desk and go, hey man, we're 25 seconds heavy after Act 1. So we could cut this joke. He goes, no, I'll make it up. Act 2, he just talks 25 seconds faster. You go, okay. Right. Like he's just, he's just like, designed to do that.
Right.
Like he was like built to do it.
Yeah, that's real broadcasting ability that a lot of people, you're not supposed to notice it at home because it's supposed to feel
it
as
always
natural.
feels seamless when someone's good at it.
There are even people that you don't agree with, like Bill O'Reilly or Rush Limbaugh, and those guys are just good
100%.
At that kind of stuff. And Limbaugh came from a top 40 background, so he treats news items as they were hit songs. There's songs that can be played once an hour, and there's songs that can be played, and that's what he'll do with topics.
Yeah.
And his audience doesn't pick up on it.
I had no idea that's so funny to me too, to think about Rush Limbaugh. Like, and here's one from the Bee Gees.
Yes, it's exactly, man.
That's so funny.
And then he'll bring the news in the same way. He'll know what he can do a lot, and what, like, here's an oldie, you know what I mean? And Benghazi, that only come in every once in a while,
Right.
but he'll still know that if he uses the right place, it'll stick for him, and it's just real broadcasting, real communication skills.
That's why that Lawrence O'Donnell thing actually just made me impressed with what he did rather than annoyed of the way he was reacting to the having someone in his ear all the time. And I had the same thing with Bill O'Reilly, who obviously I don't agree with his politics, but when he had that like meltdown, that tape leak, I was like,
Wait,
oh, I
talking
get
about
it.
the one where he was like, "We'll do it live."
We'll do it live.
That was when he was doing
fucking thing sucks.
a current affair. Remember a current affair? That's when he was hosting a current affair.
But it's crazy to me that these people are able to operate with that kind of pressure, someone in your ear, the information is changing like that, and then when that person snaps because something's off, like I see it, I'm like, well, of course that. Like he's under a crazy amount of pressure.
Did you ever hear the Casey Kasem one?
Yes.
And it was like,
I know, I've never
they
seen
gave
that
him
one.
a dead dog thing to read right before, and he's just melting down over it. And it's everyone I've ever known in radio. Everyone has had that fucking moment.
It's unbelievable. The Casey Kasem one, and the other one is Paul Anka. Did you ever hear the Paul Anka one?
No.
Where he's yelling at his band, and I guess one of the guys in the band put on a tape recorder, and he's like, "The guys wear shirts." He's just like he doesn't like how they're dressed, and he's like, and like he's just ripping this band a new asshole. It's unbelievable. But yeah, you're right. I mean, people get caught at a bad moment, especially. I mean, these are old, but
right.
I think there's one with Orson Welles and peas. Isn't he doing like a frozen pea commercial?
Yeah.
He's like Green Giant, frozen peas. What the fuck is this? You know.
There's one with John Facenda of NFL Films too, the same way, and it's great. But you know his voice because it's the old NFL films, and he's
the
just
frozen
like,
tundra of Lambeau Field,
and he's just like, what the fuck is this shit? You know what I mean?
It's
You just
so
hear him
hilarious.
losing his shit. By the way, when I was a little kid in Philadelphia, he was our newscaster. He was
That's
the
awesome.
newscaster.
Really?
Yeah, and NFL Films is from Philly or right across the Jersey, right across the river or something. So they just used the local guy, you know. But he used to, like, if he told you it was an 8-car pileup, you were scared shitless.
Yeah, was it Nick Sable started it, right?
Yeah, Nick Sable started it.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
That's
cool.
You had the voice of God telling you how many murders took place. In Philly. You're like, I'm not going. I'm not going to North Philly for any reason.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, voiceover stuff is cool, man. I like, and you know, they don't do them anymore. But you know, the movie previews used to have that guy. You know, you know, in a world. Yeah, they just make that noise now. That's all movie trailers do. Every movie trailer is like boom, and you're like, what?
What was the first that did it? Was like some kind of
Inception.
No, was it Inception?
I think there was even like it just meant like War of the Worlds. Spielberg's did it. It just meant like there was this. Like there's something scary in it.
But they just do it. Yeah,
that
every
sound was
movie.
terrifying. That was like the alien ship made that weird metallic.
Yeah,
that kind of was before the Inception one.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But there was a 2-3 year period. I don't know if they're coming out of it now, where every movie trailer just had that sound effect repeated.
Yeah.
Which they were like, well, we're not going to use this guy anymore because everyone's making the in the world joke, so we'll just do until they notice that, and then we'll change it.
But like, when was it? Because here's the thing: I forgot when we actually did the switch where even the voiceover guy was doing the trailer for comedies and romantic comedies.
Yeah.
Because you'll see something, you'll go look up a trailer for something that doesn't seem that long ago, like early to mid 90s, and you're like, well, that's not that old.
Mm-hmm.
But then the trailer will be like, when Max left his job,
exactly.
He didn't know that his life would change.
He had no
forever.
idea Maureen was right behind him.
Dun, 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 dun.
1, 2, Prince is here. Yeah, it's like,
You're like, what? Like, that doesn't feel that long ago.
No. Yeah.
And then you watch something from like the mid 90s and you're like, fuck.
Yeah. Well,
that was a fucking lifetime ago then.
the writer's room joke we used to do with the Daily Show all the time was the they set the premise. They're like, he's got 6 days to find his way back to Miami. And it's like, and then it goes, then it's record scratches like, I feel good, and it's like Frank Palapoli is,
he's throwing his old life away.
Yeah, exactly. But I kind of miss those. Those are fun. That's one of the things I love about iTunes. Just the Apple TV in general, is sometimes I don't know what I want to watch, but I'll just go down this rabbit hole of trailers, just watching old trailers, and they're so fun to watch because they really just mark time so vividly, and there's that mid-90s romantic comedy vibe that is just that 100%.
So weird.
You go back and watch 70s trailers, and they don't even tell you what the movie's about. It's just like Jaws. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, sometimes they're not even scenes. Sometimes, or you can even go back and watch a Hitchcock, and it'll be Hitchcock sitting there.
Yeah,
I've made a new movie.
And he's in a chat. Hello, I'm Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah, North by North. Yeah, it's crazy.
There's going to be blood.
Murder is rampant. Yeah, it's crazy. There's an old Walt Disney. I got to know, this is like you know how you have like celebrities that you just love, but they're not necessarily famous. Like I have that with he passed away about 2 years ago, but Robert Loggia. Remember Robert Loggia? Yeah,
sure, love him.
So I used to have this ongoing joke with all my buddies from high school about Loggia because he had that amazing voice. And then through somebody I knew, through a friend, ultimately I got to know Loggia a little bit over the years. So he would tell me all these old movies he was in. Because, he used to be like one of these young, handsome, acrobatic actors who was like, jumping on horseback and like riding and shooting. So he was telling me all these old movies to go, and they were hard to find. Not all of them were out there. This is back when like Kim's Video was still open, places like that. We had to be like, there's a Disney Robert Loggia movie called, and where I had to like find some weird guy to dub it on DVD for me. And but there's all these old Walt Disney movies. He was part of that like. The way Kurt Russell was when he was younger, like in that Walt Disney, like
part of the
family or the company, like a company actor. And all of the movies have Walt Disney in a studio saying, this feature, and he's like, in this old West story, the Remington 455, and he's holding a gun, and he's like telling, and he's like, enjoy. And it's like, he like intros the movies. It's like the weird, and it was probably from, I don't know, 1950 something, whatever it was, but it was just such a strange, unappealing way to start a movie. It's like this guy who's not remotely, should not be on camera, is telling you what you're about to enjoy. And, it's...
Well, he had the Wide World of Disney every Sunday night, too, and it would be a corporate guy, a corporate president would be sitting there.
So strange.
And he would just explain what the whole show was going to be about, and he'd...
And then he'd say, see you next week.
Oh, Mickey, what are you doing?
Yeah. And he's looking the wrong way. Yeah, because they didn't get it.
Zero joy was in Walt Disney.
At all. Yeah.
All right, we're wrapping this up, Chris.
Yes, we are. Rory Albanese has been in studio. Rory's performing at McGuire's Comedy Club in Bohemia, New York, October 6th and 7th. And he's performing at the Comedy Works in Saratoga Springs, New York, October 19th through 21st. Go to RoryAlbanese.com for tickets and all tour dates, and on Twitter, at Rory Albanese.
You're a very funny man.
Thank you, guys.
See Rory.
I always love coming here. Thank you so much for having me.
And then we'll see you all again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!